Hey there, everybody. Welcome back, finally, to the Aegis Protectors League and a bit of a new look to the entire shebang here. I am going to be Slayer, your play-by-play pseudo host, I guess, running you through the entire season of Aegis Protector League. And I guess I'll cover the brawn, and my guy Bonfire here will cover the brains this entire season long. Certainly slated to be a fun season of action-packed League of Legends Bonfire, and couldn't be more happier to be alongside you to break all of it down for what is going to be a long season. I feel like a broken record already.
Yeah, no, it should be an incredible season, and I'm just happy to be on the Aegis cast. I feel like I've been watching them for such a long time, and they invited me on, and they said you'd be with Slayer, and I said, "Say less, I'm already there." So a very exciting season ahead of us, and we've got ourselves a bang-on matchup to start off the season.
Yeah, I mean, you set it up pretty well here, and there's no better way to kick off a season. If you're a football fan, this is something you certainly see every year with the NFL. You have the defending champion, the Super Bowl champions, host the first game of the season. Protectors League, we're running that same sort of motto here, and that will be done for this opening game here with Dorado Gaming Epsilon. Now, Bonfire, the name, the organization, is the same, but the players running through, not all returning from last year's squad.
Yeah, just like the NFL, the former champion, there's a bit of turnover. You win the championship, and some players want to take a break, spend time with their family, maybe get a couple of beers. And so we've got some new changes on this team, but the core, the heart of the team still is remaining the same. They've got hybrid carry in the jungle and DOG drunk. It's a name change. Used to be DOG creatine, so switching up on the substances in the AD carry role, but it's the same old reliable AD carry there. But they've got some new guns to join them. The top laner, Daltini Linguini, Mamma Mia. In the mid lane, Tough Daddy. And then in support, the Orion. And so it's a lot of the old with some new guns. Should be incredibly exciting to look at this early favorite to win the league.
Currently the team to beat here, and they'll be going up against DZG Olympus, a new squad. Not too much we can break down about them, but because we have to get draft side here, because the draft actually has already started here. We're kicking things off quick. We're trying to get into the flow early, and it's certainly nice because you certainly can see a lot of hiccups when you start off a league at this level of league, amateur level. And while we're on the current patch. I want to preface this 13.1b, so that's that 40% sort of extra crit damage applied to the quick blades and Infinity Edge to play with AD carries. And one of those AD carries that benefits a lot from that new build path is Zeri, and DZG say, no, 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 Mr. Drunk, you are not helming that one.
Yeah, Zeri could probably be played drunk. Such an incredibly easy champion. She's so strong right now in the current champ pool, and so I'm not surprised at all to see her being banned out. I am surprised to see the Gangplank. I don't think you see it that often. It's a good blind pick, but especially not this early. So DZG might know something that we don't for Doge. On the other side of things, you are going to see the Cass alongside the Kindred and the Heimerdinger. And first picked DZG going with the Caitlyn. Now Lucian Nami did both get pretty big bans. And so I'm interested to see where the AD carry pool is at right now, because there's obviously a lot of buffs as a whole to the AD carry pool. But with Lucian and Nami getting banned, with Yuumi getting completely gutted, and with Zeri being banned out for this specific game, it's really an open door for whoever wants to be played.
Now, I like the selection here, this response immediately from Dorado Gaming Epsilon, because the Ashe has been stupidly prioritized in North American League Legends. I've seen it at the amateur level, I've seen it at pro level. When Ashe is left up, it's such an easy comp to play, especially with a squad that you know is certainly has some familiarity with each other, especially between the jungler drunk and hybrid carry. So they're going to go for the Ashe, and they're just going to double up on Freljord champions as the Sejuani gets locked in. So that's a lot of stuns already for the red side.
Yeah, and already this Caitlyn is just going to have to be so careful in every single engagement. I expect to see a cleanse coming out because with the Ashe and the Sejuani, it's so easy to go in. Already, Dorado placing a huge emphasis on that go button, on the ability to go in on these fights. I'm a little interested to see who they're going to pair the Ashe alongside, because you do see the Heimerdinger quite a bit, but with it being banned out from Dorado, it seems like they probably have a plan. Lulu, not a terrible pick, still a very strong support, although you tend to see her alongside Sivir and the Zeri. So it'll be interesting to see what they pair this Ashe with, because I don't think the issue at this point is the CC. You don't really need like a Nautilus or a Blitzcrank or anything of that sort, or Leona. You really need something that can buff up. Maybe a Karma might not be a bad idea. And so it'll be interesting to see where they go. DZG, however, going with the Graves.
With the Graves and the speaking of the Nautilus will be hovered and locked in next to Caitlyn. So this patch certainly seen a bit of rescuing for those engaged supports that kind of got thrown to the wayside. I am curious with the Nautilus pickup here because the real pairing, the aggressive bot lane duo of Caitlyn Lux has been taking over a lot of bot lanes, especially with the fact that Lucian Nami's taken a bit of a hit. I was expecting to maybe see a Lux here come out of J Core Core, and yes, I quickly want to shout out that name. That is a hilarious name, J Core Core. So that's the support player for DZG Olympus. Will be helming the Nautilus, and I saw, how how hypely prioritized Jax has been on this current patch. Kind of surprised he got through bans. Kind of surprised he wasn't picked in the first set of picks for both of these teams. Is able to get selected right before the second phase of bans, and that is a huge pick up top for Daltini Linguini.
Yeah, and it gives Dorado so much capability with their top lane. They get 2 bans to be able to ban out whatever top laners they want. They ensure that that Jax is going to be in the top side. And I think it throws DZG for a loop right now because they're banning the Syndra. They're leaving the support pool wide open for Dorado Gaming. And because of that, it's really up to them who they want to pick. They've got anybody that they want to pick for their support in the Orion. And so I think it's a fantastic job from Dorado, just throwing off where DCG is going to go. Again, another mid lane ban. Dorado can get a counter pick. They pick a support here. They get a counter pick on mid no matter what, or they could pick up mid with the mid pool being shrunken, and they're still in a good position. And so I really like how Dorado's handled this.
I'm pretty sure Bonfire that Ash has been
Mhm.
spammed as support Ash constantly in this current patch. That's where her strength lies in that role. And Varus will be logged in. Funny enough, actually, if you're a fan of the North American Challengers League, possibly could have been watching it today before you joined us here for the APL. Varus was actually picked as a support champion as well, just sort of solidifying the idea that you can pick any marksman into the support or AD carry role on this patch. I will wager, though, that Varus will be the AD carry regardless. That bottom lane combination of Ash Varus is a ton of crowd control, and it looks like Dorado Gaming are just going to be able to pick whoever they want off on the other side against DZG.
Yeah, but the Rise already being picked up, and I think this is the biggest concern from DCG at the moment, or excuse me, from Dorado at the moment, is the split push. You've got the Jax, but other than that, it really is dependent on where your mid lane is going to go. And with the Rise being picked up, Graves obviously is able to split on his own if he needs to, and then the Ornn gives them split, it gives them good team fighting. I like where DCG has taken it. It feels like they were in a bit of a rut, again with that Jax pick being picked up. It is going to be a difficult lane for the Ornn. They just really need to negate the damage
Or in
as we switch
light.
up to Malphite, exactly. But it is Ornn Light. I mean, you put it perfectly. It still is a tank. It still is a very good team fighter, and it still is going to struggle into Jax. But if you can escape laning phase with a relatively intact Malphite and a Jax that still needs to scale up, I think DCG is in a fantastic position.
Well, Bonfire is certainly a fan of DZG in this opening draft here, but we still have Dorado Gaming Epsilon with the coveted counter pick being placed on red side. Obviously, is going to be a mid laner here, too. The strongest mid laners
Whoa!
banned away, and they're going to double down with the Rumble here. So certainly a bit
Man.
of I'm looking at the stats here for the side of. I'm starting to switch names up already. This is not a great start. Tough Daddy. Tough Daddy does play a lot of Rumble pass. Now, obviously, isn't the biggest support that much by the current patch. Curious to see if a Rod of Ages build will come in for Rumble. I don't know how that fit into his skip, but such a powerful item. Nonetheless, comfort in the mid lane against a meta pick in Rise for DZG.
Yeah, and I think that's concern from the side of Dorado Gaming that they don't have the team fight capability that DZG has. I think they see the Malphite alongside the Rise, the Nautilus, and they're worried that they're going to get out team fought. And Rumble, obviously, the ultimate name is pretty perfect. It equalizes the fights. It gives you something to fight over. It's like a mini package from Corki. And so because of that, I think there was concern, and it just does work well into their comp. I'm a little concerned though, because if Rumble falls behind I'm not sure how it does against Ryze. I haven't seen it that often, but if it does fall behind, if the Graves prioritizes mid lane in terms of ganking and pushing, and maybe a Rift Herald goes towards mid, that's all of their AP damage going into a Malphite. These team fights are going to be a bit of a disaster, and so there needs to be a prior emphasis on the mid lane from Dorado. If not, it could be incredibly difficult to chunk out the Malphite alongside the Graves.
Certainly a great point to bring up here. But I have, want to lean towards Dorado Gaming Epsilon's comp here because I think the current state of season 13 pick comps are just kind of the king of the crop in a lot of ways. And the amount of ash arrows you can get out, the glacial prison on top of that, change the corruption. If Dorado Gaming Epsilon can execute this composition well early in the game, once those ultimates come online, there's really nobody on DZG except maybe Malphite early on that they won't be able to 0 to 100 and lock down. If they're able to get on top of Graves before he can get into range to try and, soak up a bunch of life steal or get close range to do a bunch of damage as well, that's easy pickings. Ryze as well, Caitlyn. There's a lot of targets that are high priority targets for Dorado Gaming Epsilon, and if they can execute these ultimates they chain together, it's going to cause a lot of havoc. And that's not even talking about the fact that they also are in control of arguably the most powerful top laner, excuse me, who not only is powerful in his own right, but he plays perfectly into that pick comp because if you have a side laning Jax, how is DZG even supposed to group up to execute?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest issue for DCG is they cannot let the Jacks get ahead, and that it's kind of a give and take, right? DCG needs to ensure that their top laner feels safe, and Dorado needs to ensure that their Rumble is able to scale up. And so I think both of them, that's really the X factor for both of these teams. For Dorado, it's that mid laner. It's the solo AP. It's the only person that can really fight in terms of the AP damage. And then for DZG, it is that top laner. If the Malphite falls behind, like I previously said, and gives that Jax that lead, and you put it perfectly. You're pulling the Ryze away from these fights. You're pulling the Malphite away from these fights. Neither of them can fight him alone. And then you've got a pick comp of Sejuani and Ashe and Varus. The chain CC can lock up any other member of the team. And so I think you put it perfectly. There's really two big X factors in the game, both of them, one on each team. And it's going to be on these teams to see how they're able to execute their plans because I think the drafts are good in concept for both of them if they are able to execute it perfectly. But once we get to the game, we'll see if perfection is able to be achieved.
Certainly a lot of pressure on the early game here for Dorado Gaming Epsilon because you do have the Jax that scales late, but outside of that, the Dash is obviously going support. So you're expecting cooldown reduction, maybe some lethality for a bit of extra damage, but main goal here for the Orion. I'm already there are so many cool names to look at. I
I
want to
know.
highlight them all, but the Orion is all about shooting ash arrows. Getting the C down. It's not a lot of damage there. I'm curious to see the big point of contention, especially for attack damage sake on the side of Dorado Gaming Epsilon. What is Drunk going to run on this Varus? So I've seen two different types here, and they both have their own advantages. You can run the Comet lethality based Varus. You're pressing for early game damage, lane dominance with a lot of good poke over top, and those piercing arrows doing a lot of damage. But the problem is, you get too late into this game, DZG's front line is not going to be able to. You can eat those arrows like candy, right? This Nautilus is going to be stupidly tanky. The Malphite most likely will be unless we see a glass cannon execute Malphite up top here from Invictus or Khan. So that kind of starts to fall off. But if you go on hit route with that lethal tempo, start scaling up, you're building a more crit based sort of way with Immortal Shield Bow, that Runin's Hurricane as well. And go on hit, you scale up really well in those fights and you're a really big attack damage dealer. So I'm really curious to see how Drunk decides to go because it could spell disaster if this game goes too long and this Varus was oriented to win lane, do a bunch of lethality poke damage, and we get to 35 minutes. He's not getting past this Nautilus. He's certainly not getting past this Malphite, all while Ryze and Graves are also doing damage. And they're right now, Bonfire, two of the biggest, powerful late scaling champions in their respective lanes.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point, but I feel like you have to go lethality, Varus, in this case. I think there is concern about the late game, but when you're going against a Caitlyn Nautilus in the early game, I think you just have to be able to win that lane out. You cannot be pulling your Sejuani down consistently because your Sejuani, I think, wants to be focused on the top and the mid side of the map. Because of, like I said, the Rumble and the Jacks getting ahead and how good that would be for your team comp. And so I think you need to be able to self sustain in lane. I think you need to weak side bot side, and because of that, I think you need to be able to have that early arrow of damage, like you talked about. And I think also late game, obviously, there's concern of not being able to burn through the Malphite and the Nautilus. But if you're getting those arrows onto the Caitlyn, onto the Graves, onto the Rise, that's still a large chunk of damage that you're able to do. And so there's concerns of the front line, sure, but if you can chunk out this Caitlyn to 30% health, she can't play team fights, and so you've already done your job to an extent. It's not as glamorous, it's not as beautiful as 1v9ing their front line, but it still is an important thing to do. And so because of that, I think you have to go lethality, but it's really up to their plan. It's how they've game planned this. If they've scrimmed, how they see that it works out. And so it'll be interesting to see which direction they take.
Well, we'll figure out what direction they take once we get in game. We're getting a little bit through spec delay, but before we take a very quick break to get into our first game, I am going to make sure we throw out predictions here. Now, the hope is here, we do have a very amazing document to mark down every single one of our week's predictions, week by week, what team we think we're going to win. So we're going to keep track of how good prediction wizards we are here. And shout out to PVS, who's also our producer tonight, for making that document. But I actually have Dorado Gaming Epsilon taking this one 2-1. I think it's a week one. You're not going to see a team sweep, but I'm going to lean towards the defending champions. You, Bonfire, have the extra. I'm giving you an extra bonus. I'm giving you a little bit of leeway here because you get to look at game one draft and let that decide how you feel about this entire series. So I'm going 2-1 Dorado Gaming. What do you think before we go to break?
Well, I could have held my hand in front of my eyes and not looked at the draft at all, and I still would have said Dorado Gaming. Look, they won the previous split. They are the former champions, and they're still retaining 40% of their team comp. I don't really have any concerns. I will say it is a new team, and I think that's the biggest issue is when there's a new team on the scene. You don't really know kind of what they bring to a comp. But at the end of the day, we've seen greatness out of Dorado. It doesn't make sense to question it at this point in time until I can be proven wrong or until they prove me wrong. And so because of that, I'm going to join you, except for I'm going to go 2-0. I just think you win the whole last split. You still retain 40% of your roster. You should be able to win week one pretty handily.
Well, it's time to finally hit Summoner's Rift for the first time in the Aegis Protectors League. So, after a very short break here, we will be back for game one between Dorado Gaming Epsilon, your defending champions, versus DZG Olympus. Don't go anywhere. There are few places sweeter than good old Summoners Rift, and it feels so nice to finally be back here with the Aegis Protectors League, the all-new talent lineup. I'm Slayer, that's Bonfire. You saw enough of our faces. It's time to watch some League of Legends action, and looks like both these squads already showing some different ideologies. On the red side, you got Dorado Gaming Epsilon, and they're going to try and sneak up the bot side level 1 here. Could cause disaster, but it looks like the side of DZG game, DZG Olympus, but gaming. I think the G is for gaming. We're just gonna play back, and of course, you know, you thought you might see a little bit of a clown fiesta in the first game. Nope, no level 1, nothing. We get to sit and relax, and that does mean that Bonfire does get a bit of a brownie point. Everyone in chat, keep track. It's very much likely a lethality virus here for Drunk with that comment on the rune choice.
I like my brownies, so I'm okay with that. I'm a big fan of brownies. Actually, this is completely off topic. Have you had blondies before?
Oh,
Those are so darn good. Okay, I'm not sure if it was a regional thing because me and Slayer are both from different parts of the country. Blondies are unbelievable. In chat, let me know if you've had blondies before. I'm a huge fan.
Let's define blonde. Make sure we're defining the same thing. It's half brownie, half chocolate chip cookie. Isn't that blondie, or did I just completely?
No, you're right, but it's not like a half and half cookie. Like they're combined, you know.
No, they're combined. They're mixed together as.
Yeah.
Oh boy, looks like Sleeping Giants internet is not mixing very well with his computer. As we'll have a DC pops back in here. I can confirm that we were having a couple of DC issues when we first got in here. Looked like things had sort of gotten cleared up, but. We're already on to a first pause, and I might have jinxed us, Bonfire. I said we were getting through, you know, draft really well. We got into draft easily. There's no issues, but week 1 jitters will always find their way onto any league, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, Sleeping Giant living up to his name. He just wanted a little nap, you know. He needed to get his Z's in. Obviously, all jokes. We hope that he gets his Wi-Fi back very soon, and it looks like that is going to be the case. So, luckily, we're gonna have both these teams rearing to go, get a good game in, hopefully, because we're both very excited about these two teams. But it does give us more times to talk about the best desserts because there's not really much else to break down. I would say I like blondies. I will say I like blondies, but this is, you know, I'm Jewish. I don't know if you've ever had babka. It is a fantastic Jewish dessert. And if not, I might have to introduce it to you.
Yeah, I definitely haven't. I think my favorite dessert though is the blue victory screen after you win a game of League of Legends. I think that's gonna be my pick. It's pretty tasty.
Cheeky.
It's usually a little salty, but I blame the enemy team for that one.
I haven't had that dessert in quite a while. Sounds sounds like something that I could really use as we are finally back into game, and we can see these wonderful players start with their trading as already in the top side. Yeah, that's what you can kind of start to expect. The Jacks just bullying the Rock.
Yeah, the Rock doesn't have his movies to lean back on in this lane. He just has the Comet. So that's what he's trying to utilize from distance with the poke. Throws out those E's, gets a bit of Comet damage down. And it's really an interesting lane because you'd think that there was a counter pick for Victus Rakan here into Daltini Linguini, who did select that Jax kind of early on in the draft. But what the troubling part here might be for DZG Olympus here, Bonfire, is this Malphite's not going to have a fun time at any phase of this lane if he doesn't get any jungler help. And oh look, Hybrid Carry already wants to accelerate his own top laner. He's hovering towards the top side. There's the hop, the counter strike. Stun's going to come across. Sejuani showing up here, gets the flash back, bounces back. The Malphite, the counter flash does give enough space, and Hybrid Carry, it's an execute to kick off the APL. No damage from Victus Rakan, and somehow we have zeros on the scoreboard still.
Yeah, Hybrid Carry. I don't know what team you're carrying there, friendo, because that was just a disaster. They really wanted to get this Jax ahead, and I talked about it in the early game. He needed that.
Okay, I don't think Daltini Linguini needs a jungler. It just seems to be complicating the process. Leaps right in, counter-strike, lands the stun. Victus Rakan had no business being that far up, and that's a huge wave crashing as well. Malphite's going to have to teleport back with a cloth armor buy-in. Oh boy, this Jax is already accelerating himself in the air.
Yeah, he doesn't even need any jungler help. He said, you know what? You can't do it. I'll do it myself. And right there, that is just the power that Linguini can have from the shores of Sicily. A beautiful dinner, and he ate right there. He was able to kill Invictus Rakan. And that's just terrible for this Malphite, who really needed to be able to survive getting traded down once again. Although Linguini might be in a little bit of trouble. The trading continuing to come out.
Ooh, look at the combination, though. Sky showing his prowess on the Caitlyn there, making sure to get as many headshot, crit shots across, and that will force the Orion to pack up his bags and head back to base. So, bit of response towards the bot side. And yeah, Daltini Linguini wants all of the smoke towards the top side, but might have bit off more than he could chew here. There's the E, and there's a return kill for Invictus Rakan to give himself some breathing room up top side.
Yeah, that is a disaster. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it does mean that the lead that Linguini had gained himself is just completely gone. All of the waves are going to be continue to be brought out by Invictus Rakan. It is going to force the Jax's teleport as well, and so you thought you had done a good job there, my friend, and at the end of the day, it all amounted to nothing. So back to even state in the top lane and the bot side. Really good job being able to force out honestly, no summoners. I believe that they had gotten a summoner, but they didn't get a summoner in the bot side. But really interesting things here on the bot side.
Yeah, hot stuff so far towards the bot side. And mid, it's a lot more of just a farm off here. Mobster Penguin is just continuing to sit pretty. Certainly, you know, you talk about the Jax is in a comfortable position towards the top side. Speaking of uncomfortable, though, here comes Core and locking down Orion. Flashes galore. Everybody's flashing different directions. Nobody's dropped yet, though. Couple roots will come across. Drug steps on another trap. So many low health bars. Nas is going to come forward, but towards the top side, we have another trade coming out. Hook will land for Core. The Orion drops. There's a 2v2 going on the top side. What the hell is going on in this game? Drug's going to try and turn back onto Sky, but creates enough distance. DZG bot lane gets a huge win for the duo.
Yeah, and they call themselves DZG Olympus because that was a godlike sequence right there across the map, every moving piece, ensuring that this chess game has no counter moves. So beautifully played by Core and Sky. I think both of us thought that it could have gone either way. Sky's flash looked a little bit errant at the beginning, but a fantastic job ensuring that it did end up going their way. And already our predictions of Dorado winning this one out, and specifically my prediction of a 2-1 or a 2-0, is being halted. A 1.3 gold lead right now at the moment. And again, in the top side, all that Invictus Rakan needs to do is just keep himself alive. Is just make sure that the CS difference isn't way too much, or isn't too much as we get to the late game.
Invictus Rakan ultimate comes online. See you later, Daltini Linguini. That bomb's is still cooking to the top side. You can't be taking those trades, and it's another huge kill here for the new squad on the block in DZG Olympus.
Yeah, the Rock, he has gotten himself a wrestling career, and right now he's going to wrestle that Jax to the ground. Linguini, I think what we both expected to be a huge difference is actually at the moment going over to Invictus Rakan, and again, it's just a disaster. I told you that it needed to be good for the side of DZG in the top side to ensure that that Jax didn't get too far away ahead. How about just doing better than that and ensuring that this Jax is behind? A fantastic job, and at the moment, they're 1,500 gold up, doing a fantastic job against the former champion.
Storyline here is they're up early, and they also definitely have the edge in the scaling department. So, you know, yeah, sure, Jax will certainly become a menace later on into the game, but outside of that, Graves is going to be a big player for Sleeping Giant. Rise is the king of scaling in the mid lane currently in the ROA meta, and Caitlyn will be going a crit-based build. We'll be able to do a ton of damage from distance as well. But looking to do more damage here is Core. X-Flash, the root lands. There's the Chains of Corruption as the response, but he has to leave the Orion to pack up. That black hole just popped, and it's another kill for DZG.
Are making this map sing right now. Summoner's Rift feels so claustrophobic for Dorado. They just have nowhere on the map that they can go. It feels like the jungler of Sleeping Giant. He's awake now. He's ensuring that all of his lanes feel comfortable. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Tough Daddy doing a good job of keeping farm up with Mobster Penguin, but it doesn't really matter because, again, Sleeping Giant is ensuring that bot and top is going incredibly well. And then how about Invictus Rakan, right? Allows his jungler to move around the map, says, you know what, Graves, I don't really need you because I can get my own advantages. DZG surprising quite a lot of folks, right?
Certainly are, showing that they are nothing, no team to scoff at. First game is Get a little bit of a lull. It's a trade of objectives. Sleeping Giant was able to secure the first Mountain Drake. On the other side, Hybrid Carry will pick up the first Rift Herald, which you certainly like more early game as we finally start to see this pick comp come around. Hybrid Carry, flash knockback. Glacial Prison comes across. Beautiful execution, and Dorado Gaming is not going to go down without a fight.
They needed that because look who got the kill. That's Tough Daddy with the kill, and so the AP damage is there at least early on, which is exactly what they needed. Just a fantastic pick, and you talked about that pick comp, moving their chess pieces around, and they got themselves the queen right there. A fantastic kill, and it does ease tensions a little bit. It's down to under 1,000 gold difference, and so it's a really good job. It ensures that they still feel comfortable. This game isn't snowballing too hard at the moment, but they need to do more with that. They need to ensure that there's a couple of those. They definitely have the composition for it, but they've just been outmaneuvered so far in this early game.
But they've been able to angle themselves into a bit of a closer margins here, only down about 800 gold, and it can be seen through the CS department here. Drunk doing a pretty good job of being able to stay on top of his CS, so they actually be approaching 20 up potentially on for Sky. In the mid lane, it's pretty even, top side even, so it really is Drunk who, despite the kill deficit, is trying to keep his team in it early.
Yeah, down about 600 gold right now on the bot side. That 80 carry difference is making up quite a bit of that difference across the entire map, and it really has been For Sky playing it really well, but I have to give J-Core his roses. You know that I love my supports, and right now J-Core is ensuring that Caitlyn can perform like a sniper, can shoot from a distance, doesn't have to get close to the danger that is the Orion, along with DOG Drunk, and because of that, this Nautilus pick has just been great in spades, has done a fantastic job. I'd like to see this Nautilus move around a little bit more, but right now Linguini.
There's the ultimate from Malphite and brings a party along with them. Didn't even need it though. Killing spree for Invictus, Rakan, Mobster Penguin also there to assure a couple of gold plates off this top turret. And it looks like DZG say we can play pick comp if we want to.
Yeah, blink if you miss it in the top side. However, it is going to be a trade for the mid lane. So Tough Daddy is going to continue to get gold funneled in, but how much can you sacrifice in the top side? There were tons of concerns about if this Malphite could survive.
Boy, we have another play in the bot side though. Chains of Corruption keeps Drunk safe. A beautiful arrow keeps For Sky stunned in the background. So J-Core with a really good setup, but it's shut down by the CC-oriented DOG bottom lane. Back towards mid, though, Hybrid Carry is going to try and turn onto this Graves, trying to cover the mid turret. We flashback bot. J-Core can't stop styling on these hooks. Flash away for the Orion. Another flash comes out from Drunk, trying to protect himself from For Sky. Everybody's below 100 HP, but nobody drops in the bot lane.
Yeah, just like a Michael Bay movie. Whole lot of action, no substance. Nobody dies at the end of the day, and because of that, everyone stays healthy. The gold doesn't move around a little bit. But again, it needs to go over to Dorado. At this point, they've gotten themselves a little bit of a deficit. They had kind of stabilized with that pick in mid. They completely lost it with that pick in top, and Linguini honestly is the reason for that. We've been looking at the gold graph. It has been Linguini that has been the reason that they've been losing alongside For Sky in the bot side. And so because of that, we are down almost 2,000 gold, about 1,800 or 1,800. So it's a difficult time for Dorado. They need these picks. Going 0 for 0 isn't really something that they can afford to do. And so I need to see more out of their pick comp, because we've talked about how strong it can be at locking up the members of DZG. And we have only really seen that once in the mid lane. Other than that, it's really been them that have been locked up.
Thanks for all the Dorado Gaming fans in the chat tonight. You know, the pick comp's most heightened part of the game is going to be the mid-game win. A lot more champions are around the map, so we'll see when that comes out, as J-Core might be the target here from the Freljord duo. The arrow's landing, but that astronaut is way too tanky to mess with, and he just waddles his way out for absolutely free.
Yeah, he is out of this world, able to get himself out of that fight right there, with a little help from his friends, ensuring that he's safe. But that is the Ash arrow down for a little bit, and with Dragon up in 30 seconds, they have to choose if they want to fight over control.
Mobster Penguin forced to flash. Hybrid Carry once again shows up in the lane. There's Ace in the hole coming over top to maybe dissuade Tough Daddy, but able to have his big hog friend in the front line take the brunt for it. Now Sleeping Giant wanting to go for a bit of trades. No real engage just yet here in the mid lane. A lot of poking, and you can see why. The next Drake about to hit Summoner's Rift in under 30 seconds.
Yeah, Ace in the hole looking like it was just tickling Hybrid Carry, but had to respect the Graves, and that's where really something that I think is going unnoticed right now. Sleeping Giant, I talked about how much impact he's had for his team as a whole. How about the damage that he's providing as well? Able to chunk down that Sejuani with just a couple of auto attacks, and so because of that, I think there needs to be concern about the damage that he can push out. And so much concern, actually, that they're going to just dissuade from going for that Dragon as a whole.
Teeny, the few things that Counter-Strike cannot block is everything that you can get from Mobster Penguin and Invictus Recon. Trying to Counter-Strike a lot of that damage. He actually got rooted up, knocked down pretty low. Speaking of low, second Drake drops as well, and we're going to, unfortunately for the side of DZG, have a Cloud Drake in play for this game. So that stack goes Aaron. That hook doesn't go Aaron, though. JJ Core, the Ignite will come out. Chains of Corruptions whiffs, but the arrow does not. Ghost will pop here for Drunk, but doesn't have the support with his support. Wow, getting caught up here. So he's forced back, can't go any further. And once again, just a bit of teasing bot lane.
Yeah, for Sky hits like a truck right now. Any of these trades are going to go over to the side of DZG, and Dorado learned that the hard way. They lose almost all of their health bars in that trade. DOG Drunk is going to have to back right now. And because of that, I imagine that for Sky is going to be able to get some damage onto the bot tower. And so, honestly, you have to give them their credit in the bot side. They've done a fantastic job. In fact, the entire tower going down. So, you know, Sniper get down. For Sky doing a fantastic job just creating their own leads. After the help that Sleeping Giant gave them, it's really been all for Sky and J-Core Core doing a fantastic job of ensuring that this gold difference isn't getting any smaller. And because of that, actually, it's just growing. It's almost 4.6k or 2.6k. My number's getting quite mixed up at the moment. But DZG, I don't think they're too concerned about the lead at the moment. They have enough that they feel very comfortable.
Might have to give Bonfire a calculator for the rest of the season next to him so he can do some gold graph calculations. But at the end of the day, yes, DZG are very much ahead, and we're starting to see some itemizations come along here. A couple of mythics, the Radiant Virtue picked up here for Invictus Recon, just to enforce that this Malphite is all about team play and setting up team fights with that unstoppable force. Interestingly enough, though, Sky has opted in for the Kraken Slayer over the usual Gale Force. Certainly respect that looking at the hybrid carry Sejuani, a very tanky pick, but it does mean Sky is a little bit more susceptible to those picks from the pick comp of DOG.
No, here we go on the top side.
Oh my god, it looks like Linguini just wants to go forward. Daltini knows he's surrounded, wants to go for the duel, and is just blown up. Sleeping Giant, beautifully crafted gank, picks up that kill. Jax is shut down once again, and no need to worry about the split push for DZG just yet.
Yeah, Linguini honestly having a bit of a disaster of a first game. This is not what you want to see from the former champions. And we talked about how important of a pick this could be, how strong of a top laner it is, and it's not really being shown right now, right? This Jax is so strong in terms of the split push ability. We said that it was going to feast on this Malphite early, but a lot of unforced errors right there, just over pushing without knowledge of where the jungler of Sleeping Giant is.
God. J-Core, you gotta stop styling on this Dorado Gaming bot lane. Another hook lands and it forces out Chains of Corruption once again for Drunk to protect themselves. There's the arrow from Orion, and hello, the other Freljord duos here as well. Hybrid Carry trying to shut down this Caitlyn. The heal come across. Piercing arrow goes wide, but Hybrid Carry still able to pick up the shutdown, and now Mobster Penguin teleports into the entirety of Dorado Gaming and can find only scraps. Finally, the pick comp comes online once again for a big shutdown.
Yeah, the pick comp's here, but they're picking bad cards right now. Obviously, it's a good pick. You're never mad about getting the kill, especially on somebody like a shutdown like for Sky. But again, it's going over to hybrid carry. And yeah, you might be a hybrid carry, but on Sejuani, you're more of a tank, my friend. That is not where you want the money. I think they wanted it on DOG Drunk, but the arrow just missed. And so they just needed to ensure that they kept it. And again, there's no objectives to fight over. So this pick comp that you expect to have such high impact honestly has only really given them 2 kills, I believe, this entire game. And so it's just not really working out how they would hope it to be. And because of that, DZG just continue to chug along. Now, the gold lead isn't moving too much at this point. It's started to falter out. And so that's good for Dorado if you're a Dorado fan. But it's still a pretty big gold lead, and the money's not where you want it to be. 0-1 on this Varus, 1-0 on the Rumble is probably the best you got, but 1-4 on the Jax is a disaster. 7-3 in kills. You've already lost 2 turrets across the map, 3 turrets across the map, excuse me. And so, and you're giving up dragon control for honestly absolutely nothing.
Here we go, more pick play coming out. There's the arrow and the glacial prison on top of Force Sky, already chunked below 20 HP. The equalizer comes over on top, and Caitlyn is forced back, so the 80 carry for DZG is already down. What can Dorado Gaming do now? Daltini Linguini still fearless in the front line. They're trying to turn onto the Malphite. Unstoppable Force knocks up 2. So many low health bars. A flash out from J Core. He doesn't feel safe. Sleeping Giant free hitting as well. And Aaron Hook comes out from J Core, and Sleeping Giant executes Orion. There's another flash away from the Sejuani. Linguini goes forward, flashes, hops on top of Force Sky with 10 HP. He might even drop one more auto. No, Invictus Rakan shuts him down. Chaos in the mid lane, low health bars everywhere for the first big fight of our game.
Yeah, but it goes over to the side of DZG. It looked like such a good pick onto Force Sky, and they do end up killing the AD carry of DZG, but it did not end up mattering. That's that pick comp that I talked about. But how long did it take to kill Force Sky? It was such a long, extended fight that they ignored Mobster Penguin and Sleeping Giant for what felt like the entire fight, and because of that, they just continue to get chunked down more and more. And right now, Tough Daddy wants to make it happen himself.
Sleeping Giant all alone here trying to take the first Cloud Drake. There's a beautiful arrow from distance. The Orion sets up that huge shutdown. Drunk comes across as well with a huge piercing arrow to catch out Invictus Rakan. And DOG punish DZG for not resetting, and they're going to stop the Dragon Stack to boot.
Yeah, the comm's a little bit muddled right there. There was 2 backs. For Sky was dead, and J Core had to back on this Nautilus, was incredibly low, and because of that, they did not have the numbers that they thought they had. Good job on Tough Daddy to recognize that. J Core might get picked out again.
Getting picked off. Your stun comes across for Hybrid Carry. Force Sky laying the traps, though. Make sure Orion can't come across, but there's Glacial Prison. But those traps so pesky. The Big Hog can't go past those, and nobody dies once again. Force Sky saves the day for his support.
Yeah, but they're not saving the gold lead right now. What was a little over 2,000 is now shrunk to only 400 gold, basically even, and the kills are again going over to the right side. Right now, Dorado has finally found the kills on the right members. 163 farm and a kill on DOG Drunk. I'd love to see the gold grab because I'm sure that it's going to be starting to get close. Yeah, it's actually getting very close. 300 gold difference. It was 500 gold like 10 minutes ago, and so the gold lead is shrinking in the bot lane. In the mid lane, it's shrinking. It's actually over to the side of the Rumble because Tough Daddy is playing this Rumble so incredibly well, calling the shots, it feels like, in these fights. And so Dorado inching their way back into this game. Don't call it a comeback.
Done a really good job to get themselves back in here. Now Daltini Linguini, he's been fearless all game, wants to try Mobster Penguin. Lethal Temple's going to come out. There's the Seraphim Brace's shield to keep Mobster Penguin safe. The Ash Arrow from distance runs awry, and now Hybrid Carry here trying to save the day. Can't land the first stun, is able to get the knockup. Does have Glacial Prison as well over top if needed. Ooh. And look at that, might have needed it because Mobster Penguin steals a kill away on the Daltini Linguini.
I don't know what Linguini was doing right there. Did not have to push up. Sejuani has more than enough damage, especially with the health going into Mobster Penguin. I think they just wanted to kill on the top laner, but that's a disaster. They had a free kill. That would have shifted the gold over to their side if it was 1 for 0. And so Daltini Linguini, another unforced error. That's 6 deaths all by himself. 6, I see, this is where I could use the calculator. 6 of 8, it's a lot, that's all I know. Honestly, most of his team's demise at this point is due to his poor play. I hate to be the realist there, but just not great. 25%, 25%, but no, 75%, 75%.
I hate to tell you, 6 of 8, the 8
no,
kills
it's the wrong
are for
side.
his team.
It's the wrong side. Oh, goodness. Maybe
he's
I need
over half of the kills for DZG.
I need a calculator and I need a new brain because this game is completely scrambling mine.
It's all right. Week 1, we're all getting the jitters out here with the Aegis Protector League. And Dorado Gaming certainly trying to get rid of their early game jitters to kick off this series against DZG. And they've done a pretty good job to get themselves back into it. Now they're starting to have some itemization coming across. The second Radiant Virtue is going to be in play here for Hybrid Carry. Makes a lot of sense on the Sejuani. And you're going to see that the 2-item power spike is coming across for Tough Daddy, who we talked about in Champions. Like, this Rumble is a comfort pick, not a meta pick. still could have a huge impact in these team fights with the equalizer.
Yeah, and it's good that Tough Daddy's in a good position, because earlier I talked about you needed him to be. That was really the only AP damage you have. I will say hybrid carry 3, 1, and 2. You never really want that on a tank, but hybrid carry is also the engage, and so because of that, I actually don't mind it. Right, the damage isn't going to be on the carries because of that. Honestly, hybrid carry's kind of been forced into these kills just because of the positioning, and it's not the end of the world, because you saw one Graves auto should normally chunk you maybe at least 5% of your health. It did not even break hybrid carry's shield. And so because of that, I think you're pretty happy about that. Good arrow.
There's another long distance arrow. Mobster Penguin stunned for what feels like years. Takes a bunch of equalizer damage, flashes on top of himself, and flashes his own little Mobster Penguin as he's somehow able to just walk on out of there thanks to the Seraph shield. Hybrid carry, though, in the mid lane, he's going to try his task against J Core, but a nice late hook comes across where the stun goes, and Pick Comp finds nothing this time in the mid lane.
Yeah, again, I gotta say, hybrid carry is just so tanky, able to tank out so many of those Force Guy's damages. Right now they want to get something on a Tough Daddy, but he recognizes that, able to just walk himself away. Daltini Linguini needs to stay alive. I know that's a crazy thing to say as a Jax in a solo lane, but so far hasn't been his forte, has been dying quite a bit, is able to survive a possible attempt there. And so peace on Earth right now across Summoner's Rift. People just want to get their items, but with 30 seconds to drag, we should see some violence.
Sleeping Giant has also completed the Gore Drinker, massively impactful item for Graves. So many times have we seen Graves at this level of play. They're able to dive forward into 4, which you think is an errant play for a marksman-based damage jungler, but sneaks up so much returning damage as J Core over the wall is able to jump on Orion. But here's the turn, the arrow lands. They're trying to get on top of the Nautilus, but Invictus Rakan shows up to blow up the entire backline. Daltini Linguini drops hybrid carry. I don't care how tanky you are with Sleeping Giant running at you, is able to flee over the wall. A ton of damage, so many low health bars again, and it's only 1 kill somehow.
It's only 1 kill, but they got what they came for. They were able to get them off of the dragon. That's going to be soul point for the side of DZG, and just a fantastic job. How are you sure that you don't have to be worried about hybrid carry's tankiness? You create the engage yourself. It looked kind of scuffed there for half a second, I'll be honest, but J Core playing like his name's counterpart right there, being aggressive just like Core JJ himself, able to get the engage, and because of that, they're able to get Daltini Linguini, which, again, I hate to be harping on the bad play, especially for somebody who's new in the league, but just not great pathing right now. Needed to be in a better position, and because of that, just gets completely soloed out by all of the damage, ends up losing his life. And it's the Jax, again, that you expecting to be scaling up late game, and at this point, you expect to be in a really good position. 2-7. Wants to take a fight here. I'm not even sure if he wins that fight, though.
He doesn't care. He just wants to fight whenever. Tough Daddy is in a similar bad situation towards the top side, low HP, and Invictus Rakan picks up the easy kill with Unstoppable Force. Daltini Linguini still fighting, getting the lethal tempo going, and he shuts Bonfire up by killing Mobster Penguin. He does win that solo battle, and maybe that's the kill Daltini Linguini needs to start accelerating.
Yeah, he needed that kill, honestly, desperately. Did shut me up. You raise a good point. Hats off Daltini Linguini for that. And that was just the solo kill that you would expect out of a late game Jax. And that's just not the respect that Mobster Penguin provided. Mobster Penguin wants to go in for that trade with him when he was already low on health, and because of that, loses his life. And so Daltini Linguini gets a little bit of gold back in his pockets, establishes that he deserves some respect. He still is in this game. Needs to have some better pathing. I'd love to see him get on for Skye and really disrupt this Caitlyn, because for Skye is still very much in this game. Contrary to popular belief, you know, obviously with DOG drunk getting himself in a bit of a lead now in the bot side, for Skye still does hit like a truck on the lower health bars, and so I'd like to see Daltini Linguini get on the bot side and start disrupting, and that kill is going to help him with that.
I also want to take a moment. I apologize for being on Sleeping Giant here. He just casually is Flame Horizoning hybrid carry in the farm department. 267 is the highest nearly out of everybody. The only person competing with him is DOG drunk, and you know, hybrid carry certainly far behind the farm department, but still going for these picks. Chains of Corruption does land. There's the arrow. Here's the combination of CC, J Core. You don't get to play the game, sir. Head back to the base.
Yeah, they get J Core, and already the Baron is on their minds. They at least want to fake it and try to get something else that is quite a lot of their ultimates. That's going to be DOG Drunk and the Orion's ultimate. So this fight could be difficult, especially if Invictus Rakan can get a good ultimate.
A lot of ultimates already down here for Dorado Gaming. That one isn't though. Unstoppable Force goes forward, but only finds one. Valentino Linguini, he does not care how low his health bar is, diving the backline. Invictus Recon also onto the DOG backline. It's a split fight here, but Daltini Linguini is shutting up the haters. Jumps forward, another counter-strike. Sleeping Giant has to flash away, but did he create enough distance here? He's able to stave off the attack, and Sky in the background is here to mop up all the kills. The DOG duo are trapped. Daltini Linguini hides like a wolf, tries to trade the kill. The heal is enough. Sky finds that kill. Now on the other side, Arrow Chains of Corruption lands. Invictus Recon drops. It's a split fight, but DZG still come out on top.
Yeah, Daltini and Linguini looked like they had a good fight. Onto the split fight like you talked about, they had the tankiness, they thought they had the damage, but they started pushing under turret across the map as well. Invictus Recon had bought them so much space, but I'm gonna have to shut up because we've got ourselves another fight here on the Baron.
Yeah, it's the two-man bot side duo with the Rumble. The Equalizer comes out. It's burning. Mobster Penguin, he drops, but it's only one for Tough Daddy. King J-Core core solo Sky as well, and it may have only been one kill, but Tough Daddy stops the Baron play. And drunk sniper in the building. Sky ace in the hole won't be a proper response, and that piercing arrow claims a life.
Yeah, they're able to. Oh no!
Oh my! It's Sniper City. Everybody get down! Get down! Orion just ones up DOG drunk. These two are on a tear in the late game.
They are absolutely taking heads, taking names. Someone check their computer because they didn't have vision on either of them. And Baron's going to be the call again. The health bars aren't there, but the numbers are. With all of the timers going their way, I think they have this. And that's going to completely swing the gold. Right now, it seems like Sleeping Giant wants to contest this. I'm not sure if he's able to.
He's a big grave, so he just already blows up Orion, doesn't let him do anything. Gonna approach the pit here. He has Invictus Recon. Equalizer will come back out. Chains of Corruption to stall them. And it's enough time for Hybrid Carry to secure the Purple Worm. And they're gonna be able to walk out here. Sleeping Giant, he can't touch this giant hog, but here comes the Realm Warp. They're trying to pick off Hybrid Carry. Unstoppable Force completely whiffs. It doesn't matter though, because Hybrid Carry should be dead. I don't know how he's still alive. He's on the other side of the rift, still kicking, and they're just gonna ignore him. What the hell just happened? Guys, to back off the trap is too far to the right, and he's fine. What the hell just happened?
DZG just completely ignored him, and that's because Dragon's on the board right now, so they think that if DZG backs, but with the Baron empowered recall, he's going to be back in time for the fight. That's a disaster. They needed to chase that. They needed to get the jungler out of it. They're going to try to burn it, and it looks like he's going to go their way.
They are able to shut it down. Sleeping Giant does so much damage at that 3-item power spike, so the Cloud Soul is secured. But how much did they just trade for a secured Cloud Soul? A lot, Bonfire. And is it worth it to pick up a bit of move speed when you're out of combat?
Depends. I think it really depends. You would have loved to get that kill onto Hybrid Carry. Oh my goodness, Daltini Linguini.
He has support this time. Already beat Mobster Penguin on his own. The speed up will come across, but there's the Glacial Prison. Lockdown, stuns come across, and the top jungle duo bottling out here for DOG. You can go golden all you want, Mobster Penguin. You're seeing gray when we're done with you.
Just over pushing on the rise is going to cost them their bot side turret. You didn't need to push out that far without knowledge, especially knowing that they were going to try to contest that dragon at least a little bit. And so because of that, loses his life for it. Now, it really depends on how impactful this Baron buff is, because I think you would prefer Soul if they only get one, maybe two turrets. I don't know, 2 turrets would completely swing the gold. It is a 1,000 gold difference, but at this point, 1,000 really doesn't matter too much. As long as they don't lose too many more towers, I think they're okay with that trade, because the Soul obviously is forever. I think you also, Cloud Soul, it is the Speedo, it also is the CDR, and so I think you're pretty happy about getting that Soul. You can't lose too many turrets, and right now they're sacking the bot side.
Certainly are, and there is a lot of standing gold here, and Daltini Linguini has the correct recipe here with that Purple Worm buff to just knock down so many of the standing turrets. I mean, look topside. There's still an outer and an inner there. And Sleeping Giant, he's going to try his hand at pick place here, jumping on to DOG Drunk, pops the Chains of Corruption here to keep himself safe. Hybrid Carry is going to play bodyguard here, and Sleeping Giant's going to have to flash out, but now Hybrid Carry is surrounded by the entirety of DZG and is picked off. They finally kill off the tanky Sejuani. Daltini Linguini teleports into the entirety of the blue side team, forced to flash away, and DZG give Dorado Gaming a bit of their own medicine.
he goes golden, and it just buys him enough time for the rest of his team to show up. Now, if they can get a turret back here, again, I think that's a fair Baron trade. If you're able to get a turret, the turret trades, yeah, again, it goes your way, and so DZG, it's hindsight and it's 2020, but they did a fantastic job of plugging the bleeding. Goal difference only 100 at this point. It's a hell of a way to crack off the season. Giant needs to get himself out of there before Linguini can get on top of him. But Linguini just over pushing, needs to be so careful to get himself away. Every time he comes on screen, I swear he's just giving me a heart attack.
Guy has no concept of what is safety, what is a front line. I play in a different dimension, and Linguini, you know, sure, maybe early on it certainly costs him a bit. The 8 deaths is not great, but Jax is now finally at 3 items and can be that side lane threat the DOG needs to break up this team fight comp from DZG.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, I don't want to seem like I have any preferences towards any players, so I'm going to say it, Mobster Penguin has done a pretty terrible job of split pushing late game. I was hard on Linguini in the early game. I'm going to be hard on Mobster Penguin this late. It feels like he just continues to get caught out by this pick comp, over pushing onto Linguini, and because of that, he's 3, 6, and 4. This Rise, not really an issue at the moment. It really feels like Sleeping Giant and For Sky are the main damage dealers, and if the Rise is able to scale up a bit more, sure, maybe that's where it is. But you talked about the scaling of DOG. Drunk has done a fantastic job of getting himself a little bit of a lead, 4-1. Early game looked like he was in a hole, doing a good job of making sure that's not the case.
Ooh, another long distance arrow. Orion finds For Sky, goes golden on top of the equalizer, able to flash out and heal himself. Victus Rakan shows up to create a bit of a safety valve, but Chains of Corruption will keep DOG safe for now. A lot of their ultimates are down, and DZG want to press the attack. There's the Realm Warp 3 popping forward. Sleeping Giant drops the slow. A lot of damage on top of Ryan. There's the knockup, though. They pick off the Ash. Linguini going forward, but he's all alone in the entirety of the Olympus squad. Mobster Penguin picks that one up. Core picks up a big hook on top of the Sejuani. Sleeping Giant goes unstoppable. Drunk can only pick up a consolation kill. He's rooted up and shut down. And finally, DZG, they put the parts together and win a huge fight.
Yeah, that's the problem with the pick comp. When you don't have the ultimates up, you're the one who's getting picked. A fantastic ultimate from Mobster Penguin. I've been shut up by 2 people in the game at this point, and just a really good job of recognizing that they want to go for the end here.
Long death timers this late, and they pick off Tough Daddy. Mobster Penguin finds that kill. It's an ace, and they're able to knock down the Nexus turrets. That's going to be it, folks. It's DZG Olympus taking the game off your defending champs to kick off the APL.
DZG said, we might be the new kids on the block, but just like the 90s boy band, we still got some hits in us. And right now they hit back harder than Olympus. Than Dorado. A fantastic game from them across the board. It got rough, it got sloppy, but they convert their early game lead that they had acquired, and they end up winning it. A fantastic game, and what a way to enter the season. What a way to enter the league to show that you are for real. DZG, tip my cap to you.
Certainly a huge step up there for DZG, who do take the first game here against Dorado Gaming and already put Bonfire down a couple points in his predictions. Hey, honestly, I didn't expect very different for you. You're not the best at starting off predictions later on. So
I scale.
You scale up as the split goes on. But shout out there to DOG Drunk. He actually led in the damage department by a couple of 100 points here. It's actually 60 points here at nearly 29k damage. But it didn't matter because the scaling comp from DOG, it finally cashed in when it mattered at the 35-minute mark. Kind of exactly when I said that comp becomes a problem.
Just a little bit of a pat on your back there, Slayer, but I respect it. You know, you don't have to skill. You're an early game predictor. I think it was a fantastic game from DZG there across the board. And honestly, there's some question marks to be had for DOGE at the moment. Where do they go from here? Because it felt like it was a pretty strong comp across the board. They weren't able to convert on it. Sleeping Giant had their number, and that's on a veteran, winning jungler. And so because of that, I think there's question marks. Where do you go from there? Hybrid carry, a little bit sleepy, not really performing as we expect him to. So we're going to go into a game 2, and it should be exciting.
Yeah, we'll have to see how Dorado Gaming Epsilon can respond to an early loss here, but they still have a chance to take home the big W in the series for week 1 to figure out how they're going to fix up their draft and improve for game 2. We've got to go to one more break, but don't go anywhere, folks, because on the other side, Me and Bonfire will take you through Game 2 draft between Dorado Gaming Epsilon and DZG Olympus.
What do you see before it's over? Blinding flashes getting closer. Wish that I had something left to lose. This could be the day I die for you. This could be the day I die for you. When to let it go, when to make them all fight. When I'm in control, when I'm out of my mind. When I gotta live, when I gotta die. This could be the day I die for you. Feeling like there's nothing I can do. This could be the end, it's mine to choose. It's taken me my lifetime just to prove. This could be the day I die for you. Don't let it be the day. What do you see before it's over? Blinding flashes getting.
There again, friends. Welcome back here for the opening game showcase game of the Aegis Protectors League Winter 20 split between your defending champion Dorado Gaming Epsilon squad versus DZG Olympus, who actually took game one here. They're going to be back now on the blue side again. So no switch up here for the sides for game two's draft, and definitely a switch up though in bans as Gangplank will be taken away on the DZ side along with the Wu.
Yeah, Gangplank and Wukong was in the last game as their bans, and so kind of an expected ban. DZG after winning, no reason to switch things up. I'm a little surprised that DOGE aren't trying to switch anything up, but obviously they felt that their game plan was the correct thing. They liked their comp. It was just the execution, but it is going to be the Graves banned out. Sleeping Giant very much awoken, and because of that, they do not want to see that again.
This is the Graves goes away from Sleeping Giant, and DZG are going to take a page out of Dorado Gaming, and they first pick the Varus here. So certainly has a bit of flexibility on the current patch 13.1, but got to think that is going in the 80 carry slot into the hands of Forest Sky. And it's DZG looking to show that maybe they want to show some like flexibility. That's the word I'm looking for. They want to show that they're flexible with their composition. They can run a late game team fight comp. And now with the Varus, maybe looking to play a pick comp, is the response here will be Tristana, but that might not be going towards the bot side, Bond.
Yeah, we've seen Tristana flex quite a bit. The Varus not as much. It'll be interesting to see where this Tristana is going to go. Is a strong 80 carry, but definitely not in the S tier of 80 carries at the moment. So I'm interested to see where they want to flex this Yordle to be at, or if they just want to keep her in the bot side. Alongside the Gragas, though, they're already placing a high emphasis on just blowing up the nearest member of DZG in these team fights. And so I like it so far. It'll be interesting to see how DZG respond to this, because the Varus really leaves things open to see where their comp wants to go. He's kind of a one piece fits all, you know, where does the triangle piece go in the square hole, of course. And Varus can do that.
So far, Dorado Gaming are opting for single target attack damage base and Disruptor and Gragas that could go into a couple of different places. Speaking of, champions that could usually go into a couple different places, the Maokai will be locked in here for Sleeping Giants. So you go from the attack damage, big blowing up your backline hyper carry Graves into the more team fight oriented, big disrupting ultimate with those, grasping roots going forward. Certainly a switch up in that department. And the Cassiopeia being hovered and locked in here for Mobster Penguin, already showing their cards with a mid lane pick before the second phase of bans.
Yeah, Mobster Penguin, a very good Cassiopeia. Looking at the OP.GG, 21 games on the champion so far this season, the most played mid laner in their pool. And it was banned out in the first game, I think, actually because of that, concerns of the Cassiopeia prominence of Mobster Penguin. So because of that, with the Graves being banned out, it allows it to slip through. Now, the question mark is, DOGE were planning for this. They did let the pick timer go down all the way to the end, and the Syndra pick kind of says to me that they weren't ready for it. Syndra more of a safe pick to go there. And so it'll be interesting to see if this Cassiopeia, I'm sure that Mobster Penguin has gone against a million Syndras. Does he know the tech? Does he know how to get an early lead on these Syndras? Or is it going to be a disaster? Because right now, Syndra is a very, very strong mid laner.
Yeah, Syndra is very strong right now, and I don't think it's a panic pick to lock in Syndra. Certainly, maybe not. It's hard to pick a counter for Cassiopeia, especially in the current meta, but to pick one of the stronger mages that can keep distance against Cassiopeia certainly is a good pick. So Tough Daddy did show that he could hold his own in the mid lane with that Rumble. Now we'll get to do it with the Syndra, who could scale up. Honestly, with our new rework, just as well as Cassiopeia can, that execute under 15% on Unleash Power is absolutely stupid. So if that drops onto Forest Sky, or as far as it's going to get blown up in an instant, certainly be interesting to watch. As we do get into the second wave of bans, and with the mid laners already selected, DOGE are going for a bit of a support prio, assuming that this Varus is going to go into the hands of Forest Sky.
Yeah, someone said in chat that I looked like Mr. Beast. Well, right now, DOGE want to give everybody a support ban, They're giving out the Braum bans, the Renata bans, Heimer bans. They're just giving out everybody that they feel comfortable. Just really generous of them. I appreciate that from DOGE.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what?
I was confused by the joke. I was like, how does Mr. We need to
I'm
support
going.
bands, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
charity,
making.
right?
I got to make my way through it. And instead, they're actually going to enrich themselves with a Nautilus pick. So Nautilus Tristana, you have to imagine the Tristana's going in the bot lane now. Just a dynamic duo. It's a bounce house in the bot side with these two, and it'll be interesting to see how the Varus wants to maneuver because you kind of have to play safe against the Tristana Nautilus, especially with the Varus. But if you get like a Karma or something with good poke, you could make it difficult for those two.
Really be interesting to watch. Level 2 here from J-Core Core and For Sky is really, really deadly. I mean, the hop forward for Tristana, excuse me, and if a hook lands with Nihilus and the root comes across, that's enough CC on its own. So that bot lane's pretty volatile. DZG, though, they're going to save their support pick for last year. They lock in the Gnar to bring a little bit more extra team fighting across. You can see that the Olympus team is certainly trying to carbon copy a bit of a composition. This is their playstyle they like to do. They like these big team fights where they can cause a bunch of collateral damage. And a Nocturne is
No
hovered and locked in,
way.
which throws a complete curve in
Wow.
it. I was wrong. That is going to be a Maokai support towards the bot side.
Yeah, you'd have to think Maokai's support Nocturne jungle there. Really an interesting pick. I don't fully understand it because I think Nocturne really wants to go in with the engage. If Nocturne is the person creating the fights, I think there's a lot of concern about just getting blown up. Usually you see Nocturne alongside a Kaisa or a Tristana, maybe a Nautilus, just because you have the support of your teammates. But this time it's not going to be the case. And I think we have a big question mark and we have to go client side for this. Is it Gragas top or is it Olaf top?
That is certainly intriguing. I see here from the OP.GG's, it does look like you do have a bit of proficiency with Gragas top from Invictus for Khan. And I would say the Gragas playstyle does kind of reflect how he played Malphite. It's a similar style, right? Go forward and cause a big disruption. And we've seen Gragas top a lot, but we also have seen Olaf top. So certainly want to decide how that plays out. But it does round out a comp from the Epsilon team that I, I'm a little confused on Bonfire, exactly what the entire identity, the hope is for here, because Olaf is meant to, dominate early in lanes. I guess their bottom lane combination as well. Syndra's there to scale off. Maybe it's a sort of handing of the baton thing where you can watch this Tristana from, Drunk and the Nala support. Or actually, the Nala support from the Orion go over top. And then as the game scales on, this Syndra will finally come online to bring the magic damage.
Yeah, I think Tristana can also scale up pretty late. You obviously think of that Danny clip late game, just having the range and the ability to kind of peel yourself off. But I think there is concerns, right? DCG do have a good pick comp. The Gnar, if a good ultimate is to come across, that could be deadly. If Nocturne is able to find the Syndra in the backside, that could be deadly. But I think as a whole, DOGE have a bit more synergy with the way that they want to go into these fights, which is just let's just go straight into it. Obviously, you have the Syndra kind of hanging around in the backside. DZG, you've got people disengaging with the Maokai and the Cassiopeia. You've got Poke with the Varus and Gnar and Mini-Gnar. You've got Engage with the Mega Gnar and Nocturne. They're definitely covering all the bases, but sometimes I think Jackie Chan once said, "Do not fear the man who's practiced 1,000 kicks once, but the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times." DZG's got 1,000 kicks, but DOGE have one really good knockout blow.
I got lost a little bit through that Jackie Chan metaphor. Wait, am I supposed to pray to the guy that's really good at one kick or the guy that
Yeah.
is good at a bunch of kicks? Okay.
No, one kick because he knows how to hit it. The 1,000 kicks. Yeah, you might have the
I don't
ability to do a
know.
lot.
I don't.
You're
But,
gonna
but
question Jackie Chan?
if you game plan for the one kick, and the guy, what can the person do after that, right?
He's done it 1,000 times. He knows how to get through the game plan. I think.
The other guy's done the other kicks. Okay, I'm getting off track here. Regardless, DZG Olympus, they do have a lot of keys here. I do like this comp because they have just so much great disengage. Petrifying Gaze can stop anybody going forward. A lot of people going forward. I keep forgetting we have an Olaf in play. So you have an Olaf with Ragnarok that obviously can ignore a lot of this, but have the Maokai with those grasping roots going forward. Twisted Advance going forward. That shuts down a majority of Dorado Gaming trying to get on top of your backline. Petrifying Gaze for Mobster Penguin, and you have Chains of Corruption from Forest Sky. So it's going to be interesting to watch these fights because which ideal can prevail here? The throw everything at you ideal, or the disengage, play your fights back ideal? Means that the early game is going to be a really, really indicative of how these fights are going to play out.
Yeah, I think the reason you didn't get it is because I was wrong. It's actually Bruce Lee who said that and not Jackie Chan. And so, now I'm
Yikes.
sure you understand it completely. I will say, to your point about the disengage of DZG, where does that leave the Nocturne, right? Because Nocturne wants to go in, wants to fly at them, get into their backside, really leaves the Nocturne out to dry, and I think it also leaves the Gnar a little bit out to dry. And so I think that's where my concern comes in is if it was all disengage, I would agree with you. I think they would have a good counterpunch to DOGE, but I think their top jungle is just I don't know, the team fights, it's gonna get concerning. Just in the sense of like Varus alongside Cassiopeia want to stay back. Maokai doesn't even really want to go in that much, with the ultimate, wants to kind of wait for them to push into him. And so, I mean, we'll have to see how DZG plays these fights. They can certainly shut me up. I've been shut up twice before. I'm ready to be shut up again, but I don't know. I've got some alarm bells ringing in my head right now.
I have faith in the. That's something certainly saying something from a guy who expected Dorado Gaming Epsilon to take this thing in 3 games. So that would throw my prediction out the window. But I like the kind of layered comp they're throwing together. It's certainly complex and hard to execute if done wrong, but I could see the vision here because what you're gonna try and bait Dorado Gaming into jumping on you first. Have a comp design to do. You're gonna expect the Olaf, who by the way is going topside, so it will be Daltini Linguini on the Olaf. And may I just say very quickly, perfect champion for this guy to play because on Jax he just did not care about anybody trying to stun him, kill him off. He just jumped forward. Well, give him a champion that can't be CC for about 5 seconds and just runs forward with axes. Fits Daltini Linguini perfectly. So he's going to be going forward trying to create a lot of trouble. You also have this Gragas from Sleeping Giant from Hybrid Carry that's going to try and go forward and disrupt. Don is jumping forward. Nala is coming forward as well. So you have the protection with Twisted Advance. The Chains of Corruption can stall things back, Petrifying Gaze. And then when you want to hit your go button, you have Meganar and you have this Nocturne. Turn off the lights and jump onto a target. So it's certainly complex to execute. But I actually am a big fan of the draft, and I think they might just wreck my predictions.
All right, I'm gonna have to go the other way. I think DOGE take this. I think you laid out this big plan. We siege at dawn. Don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes. All this important battle strategy. DOGE,
That's not very complex.
Just think it's so much easier. I think it's just one thing for DOGE, which is just go. It's the art of war is just one page for them. And
really cinematically building up this game when it's. In reality, it's the second game of week 1 of the Aegis Protectors. We're talking about Art of War. Bruce Lee got thrown in there at one point. I don't know where we're at.
I love my battles. This is 300. I'm just throwing out names at this point. The point is,
one more
movie. I know. Movies aside, fighters aside, I think that I do like Dorado Gaming. Comp just a little bit more, and so I'm going to take them to win this game, bring us to a pivotal game 3. I love a good game 3 as much as anyone else, so personally I'm invested in that as well. But even if I was putting money on this game, which I'm not, I just want to say there is no money being exchanged, but even if I did have money, I still think Dorado Gaming
might not be money at stake here, but there's a channel point. I can't see it, but I know you guys are throwing the channel points around, hopefully supporting your resident squads. I like to once again shout out everybody who's tuned out here for the kickoff of the Aegis Protectors here. We appreciate all you cheering on your squads. Keep it going in the chat here because we are just a couple minutes away from heading back to Summoner's Rift to find out if DZG Olympus are about to knock down the defending champions with week 1, or if Dorado Gaming have something else up their sleeve and want some extra League of Legends action. Take some time, go get some water, go use the bathroom. After the break, we're going back to Summoner's Rift, baby. back on Summer's Rift here for game number 2. DZG Olympus, safety blue side, Dorado, Gaming Epsilon, your defending champions, trying to push the series to a game 3. Everybody's flaring out on the Summoner's Rift here. We've got some very, very entrancing skins. The second time Dorado Gaming, they're going to try and press their luck as a 5 squad. They're going top side. Might have a little bit of success this time around. They have the Nautilus, they have the early CC, and they have their eyes on a very, very old Yordle. Place the ward down, and Invictus back up. No chaos early yet. Dorado Gaming already putting their foot on the gas pedal.
Yeah, and they've given themselves some good position. Last time when they invaded bot, it was obvious that their eyes were on the prize, a possible fight. This time just getting some vision, but a really good job by the support of J Corcor. Cannot say his name enough, able to get a ward down themselves. It does look like it could be spotted, though. The pings are saying, hey guys, this could be warded, and so because of that, they might be able to clear it out. So there's a ward in the top side for the side of DOGE, and the bot side DZG have themselves a ward as well. So both of this takes are going to be known. Now it's up to Hybrid Carry and Sleeping Giant to do a little bit of a hezzy and possibly try to throw off the enemy side, because right now everything's being known.
Duo bot side start for our junglers in game number. And certainly it's interesting to track both these junglers, because you got to think that Hybrid Carry has the early pressure, can certainly get out onto the Rift earlier and create some chaos level 2, level 3, while Sleeping Giant is really waiting for that big calling card, level 6, the ultimate, and trying to create that paranoia. So we'll see how things play out here. We certainly getting a look at a couple of the lanes that are going to be high action. Look out, once DOG hit level 2, I guarantee you this Nautilus and Tristana aren't going to sit idly.
And keep an eye on this Gragas. He did skip Gromp first, actually going back for it, and so I'm interested to see if he's going to go for a possible early bot gank because of that. Maybe a dive, as right now for Sky.
There we go, level 2, flash forward, Orion leaps come across for Drunk. The Sky has to flash away already, and it's a couple summoners burned out the gate here, but it's both summoners down for the DZG AD carry. That aggressive bot lane from DOG already paying dividends.
Paying dividends now. Where's Hybrid Carry going to go? This entire time I've just kept an eye on him, because it was a bit of an interesting clear. Went from Wolves and then kind of doubled back over to Gromp there. Now is actually going to go for the full clear, but I think it's actually going to be a bit behind because of that. And so Sleeping Giant, yeah, very behind. And so Sleeping Giant should have the tempo to be able to gank, assuming that Hybrid Carry doesn't go for a full clear. If he does go for a full clear, Sleeping Giant is going to have first roam on the map at the moment. So a bit of a weird move from Hybrid Carry there. I think he was expecting to go for a possible bot gank, but you know, already DOG Drunk and the Orion are just creating their own advantages, and so it was not necessary.
The Orion says screw clearing camps. I'm hitting the Rift early. Already roaming over, trying to hover back towards Tough Daddy's realm, and not going to find much there, but just setting up the cards to try and get these early picks. And we do see the Sleeping Giant up a little bit of CS off that full clear, is able to get the first scuttle here, potentially could have a double scuttle in the cards here. Hybrid Gary is going to try and respond by setting up a gank of his own here. They're going to spot the jungler of DZG coming across here, Sleeping Giant, so they know they don't have to worry about him. It looks like Hybrid Gary is just content hovering. Actually cancel the recall. Meganar is going to come out here from Invictus Recon. I'm curious to see if they can bait out a bit of a fight here. No movement from Hybrid Carry just yet. And finally, flash forward, the body slam. They get Invictus Recon in an uncomfortable position. Still has the hop, is able to get back under turret, and dodges out on a first blood gank.
And still at flash, and so right now Hybrid Carry is in quite a bit of a hole. Really interesting pathing from him. Waited so long for a possible dive there, but honestly, this Gnar still had flash this entire time. Did not even have to use it, and so Hybrid Carry, it's a failed gank in the top side, is gonna get double scuttled. And right now at this very moment, Sleeping Giant is already clearing his bot side again. And so this is a huge CS discrepancy in the bot side, a 300 gold advantage just in this jungle. Now, the gold is being made up by Daltini Linguini, a really good switch up from what we saw in the early game last time, alongside the mid lane of Tough Daddy doing a good job against that pocket pick of the Cassiopeia. But already early on this jungle matchup, again, it's going to be Sleepy Giant just getting the better of Hybrid Carry, the veteran that you expect to do so well, the former champion, really having an off day.
Certainly put behind here, but looking to get out onto the rift here, with especially with that rune choice as well. The speed ups trying to rush into these lanes to cause chaos. Something to watch for going forward here is Tough Daddy. I've been a big fan of Syndra. You couldn't tell in the champ select. I love how her scaling comes across, and it's all with those shards. So I'll make sure to update you guys if Tough Daddy is able to get a lot of damage. If he can land a couple of these combos on this Syndra, we'll get a lot of damage out. But speaking of damage, might have a bit of a gank here, but it goes errand. J-Core and Force Sky way more than safe around their own minion wave. And it's once again Hybrid Carry showing up to a lane and coming out with nothing.
And they're looking for a dive right here now onto Daltini Linguini. He doesn't have ult.
There's no ultimate for this Olaf, no Ragnarok, but they're not going to pull the trigger because Sleeping Giant also doesn't have Paranoia. They don't want to risk giving Daltini Linguini any advantages, and they're just going to shove the wave in and back off. Back towards the mid side, there's Petrifying Gaze. Mobster Penguin 2 versus 1 tries to turn it back onto the Gragas. Flashes from both mid laners. Now Tough Daddy not in a great spot. The fear is going to come across. No flash for Tough Daddy. Gnar comes across trying to throw those boomerangs. So many low health bars. Scatter the weak into Unleashed Power though. The turret shot secures it. Tough Daddy just styled on DZG in the mid lane.
Over aggressive from the Gnar, and he's prehistoric, my friend, right there. He should have just accepted that the comet was coming. Instead, just chooses to go out on his own terms, and because of that, that's going to be a first blood over to Tough Daddy. And if there's one member of DOG that you don't want to get the kills, it's the Syndra. Just a terrible misplay right there, and just does end up in disaster for the side of DZG when they've been playing so well. When Sleeping Giant had acquired himself such a lead, it's all kind of gone for naught. And so right now on the top side, it's actually going to be Invictus Rakan pulling a bit of a Daltini Linguini.
Now that's already getting called a statement here. We're already labeling Daltini Linguini as a misplay. Well, how he feels about that, trying to bounce back in this game number 2 here. His team is in a better spot so far, and here we go. The flash forward. Hello. DOG bot lane shows up, and it's another death for Mobster Penguin.
Yeah, just play safe mid, my teammates say, and that's exactly what happens every time in solo queue. 4 members mid lane. I think he's got some choice words in the chat after that. I know I would, because that is unbelievable. They roam up the bot side in order to get that, and they're able to roam down to ensure that they don't miss too many minions right there. Mobster Penguin, what do you even do there? No flash, and even if you did have flash, there's still 4 members in the mid lane. So Mobster Penguin, just really good rotations from Dorado Gaming. They do not want to go down without a fight here.
Can't slither their way out of that fight there, Mobster Penguin. I guess the silver lining for DZG here is that Orion, the support Nautilus, did end up picking the kill away from DOG Drunk. So the gold isn't going to go into a hyperscaling carry. It's going to make that Nautilus a bit more tanky. There's Meganar ultimate pop there for Invictus Rakan, but just to zone up a bit here, really trying to control this wave as best he can, but in a real big CS hole against Daltini Linguini, who's now trying to go forward onto this Meganar. Flow's coming across, keeps throwing those axes, but with that hop, Invictus Rakan can keep himself safe from distance.
And that's the trading that you would expect more from Invictus Rakan. I think early on, a lot of this CS was acquired because Daltini Linguini on this Olaf is just so much stronger of a champion and is able to trade out better. But right now, Invictus Rakan, if you dodge one of those axes, you're just able to get the procs off. Look at this. Just proc into proc into proc. I'm sure he's going to be able to get another one right now. Just wait out the shield. And one more auto. Does not get the last proc right there. I'm surprised he didn't. But at the end of the day, the trading is going to be better for him. So I expect this CS advantage for Daltini Linguini to just slowly go away, because I think Invictus Rakan should feel more comfortable. And already we're just getting an objective trade. It's going to be Rift Herald for Drag.
Saw this exact trade in game number 1, and that game saw a Cloud Soul come out. DZG looking to get back on the dragon, stacking, trying to stay a perfect. Well, they now are very likely they will. There it goes across. They secured 5 of the 5 Drakes so far in this series. They're on fire. Cloud Soul is certainly fun for the speed up, but certainly hoping for something different in this.
Yeah, DOGE only able to get the 1 dragon on the series so far. They were able to stop the Soul Point last game, but this game it's not going to be the same. They lose the first dragon, and I mean a mountain dragon, it's a lot better than a cloud dragon. Especially with Riot buffing the early game dragon capability, it's so strong in these fights. And so because of that, I don't think they're mad about that trade at all. Now Rift Herald can be a huge gold swing. They need to ensure that it does not get that much. And it does look like right now, Hybrid Carry might have pushed up too far.
yeah, way too far. In the end, opposing jungle has to flash body slam to get out of there. Sleeping Giant pops Paranoia just to, well, serve the purpose of Paranoia, scare Hybrid Carry out of his own jungle. So that mess is avoided there for the DOG jungler, and finally is starting to gain a bit more footing in this game, but still down 30 CS in that jungle map.
Yeah, and you would kind of expect it as a Sejuani versus a Graves, but Hybrid Carry, his pathing has been really wonky this game, going for invades when you don't have any vision, clearing camps at a weird angle, and so right now he's suffering for it. Now, it's not going to be the end of the world because of the leads that his teammates have acquired. I mean, it is a 1,000 gold lead for his team, so I don't think he can be too mad. But right now, you gotta say, Hybrid Carry just not looking like his normal self.
Yeah, certainly not up to the par that we saw in the championship for the APL last season, but still very, very early on. Not playing here to scale up with farm. This Gracchus is here to be a nuisance, a disruptor in a lot of these team fights, and that has to come later. See a bit of vision clearing coming across for Ryan, not able to get the pink ward out. A bottom lane with not a lot of action so far, finally has some. There's the Buster shot, depth charge across, and for Sky, you can chain up Tristana, but she's gonna keep on leaping forward. Core has to flash away. Hybrid Carry shows up though. He picks up and execute, and now Sleeping Giant is all alone. DOG come up huge in the bot lane.
Perfectly played from DOG Drunk and the Orion to just completely lock up for Sky. It's gonna be a kill going over to the Orion as well, so this astronaut is going to be flying to the stars with the kills.
Flashing the mastery a little too early there, Tough Daddy. Didn't pick up the kill. Unleashed Power not doing a lot of damage overall just yet. Syndra still has to scale up, but still foreshadowing for what's to come from this Syndra, who's been allowed to do whatever she wants in the mid lane.
That's the true Giga Chat move, is to just flash the mastery and not get the kill, just to say, hey, I'm here, and right there just does it. But yeah, you look at the gold graph right now, almost a 1,000 gold lead solely in the mid lane, actually even in farm. So that first blood has acquired a lot of it, along with the plate that was given over to Tough Daddy, and so doing a fantastic job on the top side. Invictus Rakan continues to play on the edge of danger against Altini Linguini.
We're just gonna keep on trying their best. Dance around each other. Invictus Rakan doing a really good job in the mini Gnar so far. The Mega Gnar will come later, all you DC fans and fights, but you got to think, is down a lot of CS to Altini Linguini, but doing his job, not giving up a huge lead to Olaf, whose entire objective early game is to find kills to accelerate his build path.
Yeah, and Mobster Penguin roamed up, which forced Altini Linguini to back himself away, and so Invictus Rakan is going to be able to crash a wave right here. I think might actually be able to crash another wave. It depends on if Altini Linguini is going to be able to heal up, but look at his mana. You don't heal up mana, and so even if you get these kills, you get some of that life steal back. Another wave's going to get crashed, and Invictus Rakan, I think, feels comfortable enough poking you out from away from tower. And so as long as you know where the jungler is, which you do.
Poor Sky. Oh no, he's surrounded. Depth charge drops the Chains of Corruption, but you are out of your elements right now. Drunk picks up that kill. Mobster Penguin trying to get a trade kill on the Tough Daddy. Petrifying Gaze, a lot of damage coming across. But a good scatter of the week will keep Tough Daddy safe, and DOG are still farming in the bot lane.
Yeah, for Sky, at this point, Hybrid Carry has just completely sacked what he had to do here in the bot side.
Oh, here we go, though. There's the dive. Paranoia coming across the stun for Invictus Rakan. No Ragnarok even pops until it's too late. And DZG, they finally get on the board here. The Nocturne pick comes alive.
The Nocturne pick comes alive, and I was just about to say that Sleeping Giant was getting gapped a little bit in terms of the gank ability, has that CS lead, about 40 CS at this point, but Hybrid Carry has 3 kill participation. That's good for 80% of his team's kills, and so doing a really good job, 60%, I'm sorry, math, calculator, I need it, doing a really good job of ensuring that his team feels safe, but look, that kill is so important in the top side. Invictus Rakan, to be able to get almost all of this tower, as long as they have knowledge of where Hybrid Carry is, which they do, as long as Invictus Rakan is able to push off another wave, look at how far Altini Linguini is, how much health Invictus Rakan has. Yeah, they're going to have to give up a dragon, but that should be a tower going over to Invictus Rakan, and this Rakan is well and truly back in this game.
This is about to be the slowest dragon take I could possibly watch. Hybrid Carry doesn't do too much damage, and Orion is important Nautilus. Finally knocking it down pretty low and will secure it. So stopping an early dragon stack. It's going to be a Hex take, Drake secured there, and I jinxed it. I'm going to take this one. My bad, guys. Cloud Soul on the cards again, but who cares about that? The bot lane for DOG is getting collapsed on. Twisting Advance comes forward to try and shut them down, and finally Sky gets his revenge. Orion is shut down. Tough Daddy will find a trade, but is now stuck alone. Trades his life for DOG. Drunk, and DZG capitalized on the overstep from Dorado Gaming.
Dorado Gaming, that is not your place to be. They get themselves the dragon, and they think they have a good pick onto the jungler, but they were just getting wrapped the entire time. Don't you know that the tree always knows where you're gonna be? Bit of a rhyme there. Maokai completely wraps them, and then you talk about the disengage. The twisting roots completely lock up the captors, ensure that they have nowhere that they can go. DOG Drunk just has to fly himself away and watch as the rest of his team falls. That's 3 kills being given over, and what was a huge gold lead has shrunken down at this point. Really good job from the blue side to ensure that there's no counterpunch, and they've got themselves back in this game.
Important contention I want to bring up that I didn't get a touch on. Sky now gets down the carry. Has opted for the lethal tempo, is going that crit on hit build. Really far behind, was getting dove constantly under his own tower alone, while we saw Jake Jerome. Got 2 of those 3 kills you were talking about, really accelerate himself back into the game, and this Varus won't fall off anytime soon. The Value department will be able to just murk fights once he can get those auto attacks going.
Yeah, and that was necessary, right? I think that the reason that he was getting dove so much was because he wasn't able to clear the waves fast enough, wasn't able to get the poke off. We talk about how lethality is really potent in the early game. When you're going against an Nautilus Tristana, that can be really difficult to go into, and so fell into an early deficit because of that. But that fight means that all of the early game, that deficit that you had for Sky is just completely gone. It's washed away. A new year, new me. Topside, it might be a new year, new mobs.
Penguin run. They don't care if you're an endangered species. They're collapsing on this Cassiopeia. There's a good petrifying gaze, though, getting a ton of damage off. But don't worry, the OG Drunk shows up to make sure Cassiopeia can't do anything. Hybrid Carry will pick up that kill. Find a pick in the top lane against DZG.
Yeah, it's a really good job. Mobster Penguin, again, just going back to the first game, this is exactly what he did wrong on the Rise. Again, over pushing without knowledge of the enemy members, and they collapse on him right there. But you saw how much damage that Cassiopeia can push out, and that's obviously going to be a cause for concern for DOGE, as here's another fight.
God, the Sleeping Giant thinks he can take Daltini Linguini. The healing isn't going to be enough. No, Lethal Tempo does the job, and Sleeping Giant, for the 1800th time in this series, punishes the over-aggression from Daltini Linguini.
Daltini Linguini, pulling a Daltini Linguini right there.
No,
obviously. No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke, Daltini Linguini. You're a good friend of mine. I've never met you, but, you know, no ill intent, I promise you. But yeah, no, just overpushed. Again, I feel like I keep saying this for Daltini Linguini and Mobster Penguin. They just get into the positions where they can't get themselves out of. Actually opted into that fight himself, wasn't even trying to run away, and because of that, lost his life. A little bit overzealous, but again, this gold lead is just in a really weird spot.
Ooh, here we go, though. Tough Daddy really starting to do serious damage. Flash forward there. The Q lands, unleash unstoppable power, and Tough Daddy's feeling pretty unstoppable in the bot lane.
Yeah, Tough Daddy, Invictus Rakan, not respecting the damage that Tough Daddy can push out. I'm actually not sure if he saw Tough Daddy. Really good bush camping from the Sindra right there. It is going to be traded for a topside turret, so that is going to be the trade that's going to happen. That's going to be a backstop every day of the week, Mobster Penguin. But a good kill onto the top side of Invictus Rakan. And so, yeah, this Gnar, it feels like, again, this Gnar has just been overpushed just a little bit too much. CS deficit, still about 20, so hasn't really shrunk like I expected it to. Wanted actually a new lane opponent right there. And yeah, he got it, but maybe that's not what you wanted.
Second bout of Shelly will pick up the mid turret, but here comes Sleeping Giant with the turn. All alone, though, too far forward. The Fear will land on the Hydra carry. The smoke finally drops, and no kills come across. Orion does a good job to keep his Groggy safe, and now Daltini Linguini, he's going forward like he always does. Ghost Pop doesn't have Ragnarok just yet online, doesn't pop an Invictus Rakan solo. About to go Mega, though, and somehow nobody drops until Mobster Penguin has a bit of a say. Gets the slow. Daltini Linguini is dropping by the quickly. The stun will come across to keep Mobster Penguin
Burns.
away from the Olaf. The burn will not come across either. But here comes Maokai. He's trying to pick up the kill, but he bit off too much. Drug shuts him down. Core steps out of his element and dies for it.
Core tried to be the hero right there with nobody behind him. An ill-fated thing to do. I'm not sure if he thought if he got that fight and traded his own life, they could win that. But yeah, just not keeping eyes on Daltini's flash, and that's an easy flash right there. Daltini able to get that, and it's only going to be camps as the consolation prize. And already, a lot of that's warded. And so, honestly, at the moment, Sleeping Giant has to be careful because they've seen him on a ward. They're kind of chasing him out. Really, the only member on the dragon was Daltini, and he does ensure that they keep it. And so that's going to be 2 dragons going over to Dorado. And they've extended this gold lead again. It was kind of stagnating for a little bit, but it's 2,500.
And the important part here is they've got 9 kills total, and the 2 people that need to be in a majority of those kills have been. 2 bounties are on DZG and Tough Daddy, who are both at 2 items. So the right carries are getting the gold, and that spells more doom and gloom for DZG Olympus in this comeback.
Yeah, DZG has the gold right now on this Nocturne, but you really need it on Mobster Penguin. Mobster Penguin 1, 2, and 2 right now. Just get a little bit more damage. I think that fight goes so much differently, and Mobster Penguin, it's becoming a known thing at this point, over pushing, and I think he's going to get punished for it.
Well, here we go. Daltini Linguini does have a Ragnarok this time. The slows are going to come across. Can't be CC'd, but Hyper Carry can. It doesn't matter, though. Daltini Linguini making him look like a weenie, a solo kill in the bot lane.
Mobster Penguin, you just can't be there right there. Again, over push, and because of that, gets punished. Good job from DOGE recognizing that and ensuring that they're able to get that kill. That's going to balloon the gold lead again, just a little bit, not by a ton, but enough to 2,500 consistently that at this point, you know, one objective, one more fight goes over to DOGE. It could be out of the hands from DZG.
See, they're already starting to prioritize this Baron. A lot of pings coming across. Daltini Linguini is totally comfortable shoving in that bot wave, pulling some attention, pulling some aggro. For Sky's already roamed down. He's going to have a long walk back up to the Baron pit. Tough Daddy is zoning off this Gnar. Will they pull the trigger on the Baron? Not just yet. They want to fight here. Hybrid Carry going forward, trying to make Sleep Giant uncomfortable. Looks like it's just going to be a battle for vision, and DOG are just teasing the idea of playing for that Baron net.
Yeah, but this entire time, Daltini Linguini, he pulled the rotation of Force Sky, and right now Mobster Penguin has to ensure that this wave doesn't crash and that this tower doesn't fall, but Mobster Penguin's been losing out on these trades against Daltini Linguini. Right now is going to ensure that he's safe enough because he has the tower on his side. I thought it could be a disaster because, again, you're pulling one of the strongest members of your team, of Cassiopeia, into the bot side to fight against Daltini Linguini without teleport, but they don't pull the trigger on the Baron. So because of that, able to survive. Mobster Penguin needs to get a lot more poke off if they want to have a standing chance in a one-on-one against Daltini Linguini.
Ragnarok was back online most of it for Daltini Linguini, who is the definition of aggro top lane play, but this time he's going to take his chances. I think he has a bit of gold he could cash in as well, as he is actually able to pick up that Death's Dance on recall. A lot of 2-out power spikes coming across for Dorado Gaming, but what can they do to accelerate that lead there? Heading the dragon stacking, Baron is on the cards, and you got to think that's where this story is heading towards next.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Baron. I think you have to pull Tough Daddy to the bot side.
Force Sky. Good flash there.
Flash. Yeah,
Gets
good flash.
Away from Predator, pop by Hybrid Carry, but man, they're still picking on that Varus.
Yeah, and that's really good because you get the flash out of the Varus. Varus doesn't have cleanse. Actually opted to go with the exhaust. Went under my radar this entire time. I think if you pull Tough Daddy to the bot side, get a teleport advantage because Daltini Linguini doesn't have teleport, right? So putting him in the bot side is just basically scripting that you're not going for Baron. If you throw Daltini Linguini in the top side, he's able to roam just as quickly as anybody else. And so a little bit of a different look right there, but that does mean that they're not going to be going for Baron, at least at this current moment.
So I actually understand not going cleanse here. I think it's a lot of knockups for the CC from the side of Dorado Gaming. The only thing I can think you can cleanse, right, Bonfire, is the stun from Syndra. Outside of that, not much to cleanse.
The root from Nautilus, but if you're getting rooted by Nautilus, you already probably are in a world of hurt.
Probably already knocked up and hooked.
Yeah, exactly.
So
honestly, you're probably already dead.
Yeah, you're probably already dead. Force Guy certainly doesn't feel comfortable in this game at all, and it looks like both these teams are going to start jockeying for position here. Hybrid Carry caught out a little more forward, but Force Guy, yeah, man, you can't walk up to an Olaf. There goes the kill. Deltrini Linguini picks up another huge kill, and that might be just enough for the Pinks to come out. Do they go for Baron? They knock down the main AD damage on the side of DZG.
Yeah, questionable pathing right there from First Sky. If you're Varus, especially without Flash, you have to take the safe way around every single day of the week. And right now, you're condemning your team to a 4v5, which they can win, but they need a good engage.
They're missing their main damage dealer in the attack damage front. And Monster Penguin's already getting jumped on, but that's a huge ultimate from the Cassiopeia. The Nocturne will go forward as well. So many low health bars. Nobody's going to drop, though. Tough Day does a really good job to zone. DZG, they accomplish the goal. They stop the Baron play.
Stop the Baron play for now, but they're still hanging around. The Petrifying Gaze was great, and it ensured that this doesn't go down. They're just waiting out the Mega Gnar right now. Invictus Rakan's going to go to regular Gnar, the Mini Gnar, excuse me. And so this might be difficult. Look at Daltini Linguini's health bar, though. Look at Sleeping Giant. He's opting instead.
Through the Baron, he just wants to go for the Drake here. They do have Force Guy coming along in full health from base. There's a huge explosive cast. Breaks some distance. Daltini Linguini fails the flash over the wall, and Force Guy gets his revenge. DOG, they overstay and they pay the price.
They pay the price. This entire fight, it's just a battle. Both teams jockeying for control, and then our observer with a bit of a, I think, not needed or a not intended comedic timing. I'm just imagining right now Sleeping Giant. He's just thinking, life is like a hurricane here in Duckville, while the rest of his team battle. But he knows that he has faith in his team, and so he can have that little, dragon fight by himself, just pushing out damage, trying to get an objective. Because he knows that for Sky, along with Mobster Penguin, just do it themselves, can take that fight themselves. For Sky, just making up for his mistake right there earlier, getting that kill into Daltini Linguini, and they get a dragon, and they do not give up a Baron for it.
Very, very big play there to keep these in this game. They bring the gold lead a little bit closer. Force Guy still playing up close and personal with the front line from DOG, but not enough damage there from Hybrid Carry to make him pay. There's the explosive cast. Shades of Corruption traded back, and Force Guy gets some good damage out to maybe assuage Hybrid Carry from playing that aggressive going forward.
Yeah, I think Hybrid Carry feels a lot. I think it's actually the other way around. I think Hybrid Carry is like, yeah, don't come to these parts again, because if he had any support at all right there, for Sky is dead. Again, the pathing, just so aggressive when you don't have Flash as a Varus. You don't have Flash, you don't have Gale Force, you really have no movement. I just think you have to play a lot safer, and honestly, I think he's just lucky that Hybrid Carry didn't have any support alongside him, because if the Orion got an ultimate off, if DOG Drunk was anywhere close to that fight, that is a dead Varus.
I mean, Orion would be able to pick up a lot of nice hooks to follow up on Hybrid Carry. He's been doing it all game long, and well, the first Baron play didn't work out too well, so they're just going to try and set up a bit of Death Rush here. And it might be Mobster Penguin the target. That turret's very low. Petrifying Gaze will finally drop. Sleeping Giant is here. It forces the zombies out from Hybrid Carry, but he's still in the sands. He's still getting chunked down by Mobster Penguin, but Sleeping Giant drops first. So many kills coming across. The huge Mega Gnar, though, Invictus Rakan shows up and says, get out of here, DOG. Force Sky gets a double kill, and they're still hunting. Drunk gets stunned up. It's a triple. It's a quadra. Could it be the penta? It's a pentakill for Force Sky.
Force Guy is a lunatic. He's walking. He knows that he's that guy. And, this entire time I was criticizing his pathing, but I just didn't know that this guy had the biggest cojones on him. But honestly, I think that all of the praise needs to go to Invictus Rakan and Mobster Penguin. That entire fight was a 2v4, a 2v5 for most of it. For Sky, came in a little bit late and was able to clean it up. But Mobster Penguin survived the entire time. I'm not sure how. Sleeping Giant was able to get a great paranoia off, which split the members of DOGE, and then Core. Honestly, the hidden element right there was able to get the ultimate off, root everybody up, and that just set everybody up perfectly. Invictus Rakan got the huge ultimate off. A pentakill for Sky. Yeah, what a fantastic team fight right there, and this game has officially
Already starting out early here in the Aegis Protectors League. A pentakill in the first series of the entire first week one. First, a lot's going on here, and first pentakill goes to For Sky. They played that comp that I wanted to harp on so much in Champions, like the disengage into re-engage, masterfully played there by Mobster Penguin and Sleeping Giants across the initial bout of Chaos. Speaking of Chaos, let's get some Paranoia thrown in here. That's Ragnarok pop by Daltini Linguini, so no more slows coming across. But it finally drops off. He has his support, though. Hybrid Carry shows up here, and now he's going to turn around. He's going to pop the Ghost. Teleport from Mobster Penguin, though, to try and assist. They're splitting everybody apart. Twisted advance here from J-Core Core will find nobody. And the disengage is just enough, and somehow no kills come across. Mobster Penguin, he's still hunting, though. He has the slows on top of Hybrid Carry. There's the Petrifying Gaze that comes across. The damage is insurmountable. Hybrid Carry can Zonya's all he wants, but he's dropped. A huge root comes across with the Chains of Corruption. Daltini Linguini will drop. A good hook comes across from Orion to trade J-Core Core, but DZG can't stop the comeback. They are hunting for the base.
The DZG train has lost its brakes. It is all gas, baby, as they just push onto these inhibitor turrets. Now, they have to be careful, because if they clear the wave and the Orion gets a good hook, they could really even the numbers. And so instead, they just opt to leave. You know, they're happy with their pick. They don't want to go for anything else. They got 2 for the price of 1. That's a good deal to me. And so they're able to get those picks. But I think, honestly, what I was shown there was Mobster Penguin, as the Cassiopeia, is pushing out so much damage, which you expect on Cassiopeia, obviously, with the scaling. But it doesn't feel like they're respecting the damage that Mobster Penguin is able to push out. And so they're going to lose their 3rd Dragon for it, that Soul Point going over to the side of DZG. And they're just continuing to make a name for themselves in the APL.
I want to talk about something.
Okay.
For Sky has picked up 6 kills in a matter of 4 minutes. He's now gone from 2 items to 4 items on this on-hit Varus. And I know I was a big advocate for it in game 1. We saw lethality Varus, but this point, this power spike is why you go on-hit Varus. For Sky may just take over every single one of these fights going forward for D.
Yeah, and it's like the meme that you sometimes see where it's the guy with his eyes splitting in 2 directions. Right now, that's DOGE, because they have to keep an eye on Mobster Penguin and For Sky. You know, before, they could just be concerned about the Cassiopeia. For Sky, I think, was 2-3-2 at that point. Didn't have Flash, was kind of being reckless with his maneuvering. But at this point, you have to respect both members, and so because of that, I think there's a lot of concern. Look at this, Mobster Penguin can just chase down Daltini Linguini.
Mobster Penguin wants all the smoke. You can block Ragnarok all you want. Mobster Penguin will keep hunting. Flash, Petrifying Gaze won't fight anything, but the Sapling slow assist. J-Core Core, Sleeper Sapling helps find the kill. Invictus for Con picks that one up. Sleeping Giant pops the Paranoid. He wants to go forward. J-Core Core in the middle of 4, all alone. Unleashed power. Tough Daddy picks up that pick, and maybe DZG now are overstepping.
J-Core Core wants more. I said there was no brakes on this train, and sometimes that's good. You know, you blow through a stop that you weren't going to go to. Yeah, I'll get home a little quicker. But then suddenly, oh, I missed my stop. I'm going to be late for dinner. And
there's no more tracks. There's no more tracks.
I know.
Going forward.
It's like that movie, and I'm blanking on the movie's name, but what's the movie where they're driving a bus, and if they go under the speed limit, the bus explodes or something like that?
I think it's like 24 hours.
I think it is too.
About, yeah.
I was
thinking of Amazing Spider-Man 2, you know, where Peter Parker's holding the Spider-Man 2. The train's gonna go off the tracks, and he has to hold it back, or it's gonna kill a bunch of people in the subway. Isn't that the L train?
Yeah, I think so.
Chicago?
No, it's New York. It's Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, all right. I just. I'm gonna leave, guys. You got this cast. I'm embarrassed. I gotta go.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because there is no Spider-Man holding this train forward. They're fully bought into this. They are ready to throw this train into every single engagement. I don't think any member on their team wants to stop this train, and that could spell, you know, it could be difficult for them late game because there is disengage. Tough Daddy and DOG Drunk along with the Orion. You know, Nautilus can be a pick, but he can also really stop the engage. And so I don't know. I think they might need to show a little bit more restraint because right now, if you're just looking at the goal difference, it looks like DOG is winning.
I honestly, Bonfire, I feel weirded out that there's so little chaos in the last 2 minutes. Silence is like deafening. There's nothing going on, and this game has been pure chaos for the last 10 minutes. But it looks like everybody wants to chill out just a little bit. The gold lead is finally in DZG's hands. that means diddly squat. We're at 35 minutes. 1,000 gold means absolutely nothing. This is where we really see which teams want to put up or shut up. I'm so glad we're going to see a game like this so early in the season.
Almost, it's too silent. Something's hiding around the corner. I'm expecting. I know the Jaws monster. It's coming. But I will say, I do think
look
that
out, Monster Penguin.
For all of you lovers of violence, I think that we're gonna get some coming up real soon.
There's Petrifying Gaze. Monster Penguin already utilized that big stun, and it's dodged out there. Look at Hybrid Carry, put on the moves, turns his back, turns around, explosive cast. No. You're on the middle of my team, and Drunk, they pick off Monster Penguin. Exactly what DOG needed. They still have to worry about Force Sky, this huge item spike Varus. Can he get on top of the backline? He's pushed off by Hybrid Carry. Here comes Sleeping Giant going forward, try and disrupt, pick off the Syndra, and he will shut down Tough Daddy. Meganar's coming online as well, but DOG Drunk is able to hop away to safety, and now Orion, he's feeling the full brunt of Force Sky. That on-hit Varus lethal tempo will make him legendary, and somehow it's an even split of kills this late in the game. But look at Daltini Linguini. He's breaking the base wide open. DZG, they want to go for the inner turn in the top lane, but their base is imploding.
Their base is in shambles, and I don't think Invictus Rakan wins this fight if he takes it. So they have to sack their bot inhibitor right there. They're able to get a tower for it, but it's an even trade, except for there's a tower and an inhib. And so, yeah, it's a really good counter.
4v5.
It's a really good
fight.
I know, it's a really good counterpunch from DOGE, and that just goes to show that we cannot leave DOG Drunk out of these fights, because that entire time he was able to free hit. Right now he's 6-1-7, maybe the quietest 6-1-7 performance I think I've ever seen. It feels like he's never really had that much impact, but he is fully scaled up at this point. The range is as good as anybody else on Summoner's Rift, and because of that, I feel like, again, DZG just has to be so aware of DOG Drunk, and again, they have to be wary of so many members. The carries are starting to all scale up at this point. We're getting late game League of Legends. This is fantastic.
This is exactly what I live for in DOG. They're trying to prevent Soul Point Secure here. It will be smited away by Hybrid Carry, but the fight will come out here now. Petrifying Gaze, they're keeping the backline away from the DOG front line, and they're able to kill off Daltini Linguini. There's a good scatter of the week. Tough Daddy will create enough space, and it's a trade of Drake for the top laner for Dorado Gaming.
Take that. I think you 100% take that. I know it's a Cloud Soul, but I talked about it earlier. A soul of anything is important now. If they give up Baron, it's a disaster.
Oh my god, forward goes Meganar. The ult won't land, but the stuns are coming across. Hybrid Carry's gonna drop, but DOG Drunk says, you can't take one of mine, I'll take one of yours. Is able to trade out the tree, so J-Core core drops, and now Sleeping Giant is the only jungler still alive, and they're gonna start up the Baron. Monster Penguin doesn't care about the Baron. He's still going for kills here, but Drunk jumping forward. He's ignoring the Tristana. Monster Penguin, look out for the Yordle, has to flash the wall, but Drunk is following you across. The Buster Shot picks up the kill, and Drunk is unstoppable.
Baron's going down so slowly. They can still contest this. The Syndra can steal it if she wants. 1W!
Oh, so close. The smite comes across for Sleeping Giant, so they lose their mid laner, but they are able to pick up Baron Nashor for
able to get Baron, but look at their base. Look at the bot that's completely pushing in right now. It's not able to get anything, but they have to answer it right now. They have no waves with the Baron buff at the moment that they're able to push out on, and right now they're getting their mid push, and with everybody showing bot, I think they lose their mid turret here right now. I think they lose their mid turret, and so right now, Monster Penguin was over pushed, with DOG Drunk being on this Tristana, I think might be able to, but it could be an over push. They're able to just get back to protect that mid turret. This is a back and forth game. Both teams showing that they deserve the respect of the viewers, and I think this is a really early shout for a possible playoff performance.
All you Aegis faithful, I don't want to see a single one of you tweet out that the AD carrier role is weak. All right, look at that. Look at this scoreboard, all right? They are combined 18, 4, and 11 across the board as AD carries right now between DOG Drunk and Guy. Following out in this game feels like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object right now. But Bonfire, one of them has to fall.
One of them has to fall, and right now, again, I talked about this Baron buff. It's just not getting what they want out of it. They're not pushing out the waves. They haven't been able to get a single turret down. They're instead just looking to clear vision, but they want to fight right now.
Ooh, DLG Drug goes 40 hops, but he uses the Gale Force to create a couple more distance. There is the Twisted Advance. J-Core locks down only the Nautilus though, so that ult from The Maokai finds nothing but Paranoia. They jump onto Tough Daddy. Explosive Cast goes wide. The Hybrid Carry's just trying to protect his mid laner. Bunch of blown ultimates, but nobody dies.
How many ultimates did they use right there? That's almost all of their ultimates. The counterpunch could be so good right now from DZG, but these Baron minions are making it so difficult. They have to fight right here, but they don't have their mid laner. I'm sure they're going to lose this turret. They might even lose the inhibitor. When do they want to fight this?
Mega Gnar is dropped off for Invictus Rakan, but they still go forward. Core, that's too far forward. Petrifying Gaze, Mobster Penguin doesn't find any. He has to Zanya's in the middle of the red base. It's a double kill for Daltini, Linguini, and DZG. Maybe they went too far forward on their own, but Four Sky is still alive and kicking. The arrow doesn't do enough damage on the Daltini, Linguini, but Paranoia is back up, and it's a shutdown for Sleeping Giant. He picks off the Olaf. Scatter the Weak does a ton of damage, and Tough Daddy finds the train onto Invictus Rakan. The red side loses their inhibitor, but they force DZG out of the base.
They're able to get the kills too. Tough Daddy!
Tough Daddy flash forward. The Scatter the Weak comes across. He's Zanya's unleashed power. He got the GA. They picked off For Sky. He's surrounded by many enemies and is finally shut down.
They able to get the shutdown as well. There's only one member alive. They don't have the waves right now. They're not able to end the game. No teleports, only Tough Daddy has a teleport, but by himself would not be able to take the base, and so there's no objectives to fight over. With Dragon in a minute, though, these timers are going to get real dicey. Because right now, for Sky's on a 40-second timer, Dragon's up in 50, so he can get to it by the time Dragon's up alive, but they have to give vision. They can't fight over the river. They're going to have to play retake. Stealing some lingo from my CSGO casting, they're going to have to play retake right now on this river. And that could be difficult for them. They do have the ultimate from Core. All the ultimates are going to be alive. Now, keep an eye on For Sky. Does not have any summoners. DZG Drunk still has Flash.
Ryan still wants to fight early. There's Nature's Grasp utilized already off the bat. Core, he has to flash away. He wants to respect DZG Drunk's damage. A key summoner and ultimate down with the guaranteed soul secure Drake on either side. Drake coming online soon. Tough Daddy's going to teleport in for the base. It is all in for Dorado Gaming Epsilon onto this dragon. And how will DZG respond? They're still not all five here yet. For Sky is still coming in through the red side, the bot side jungle. And they're going to creep up through the bottom river here. The Drake is started up. Are they going to 50-50 this thing? No, Dorado Gaming, they're going to back off and play it safe. They'll let the Drake reset. And now it's DZG's turn to jump on it. They'll pull it out of the pit. There's the Predator popped. Hybrid Carry trying to look for an angle. They're just jockeying for position. Orion finally lands the hook. Petrifying Gaze comes out. Monster Penguin goes golden on the back line. Nocturne going forward. It's a trade of backlines. Another split fight. Can the Olaf pick off For Sky? He finds the shutdown. Will they trade him? No. Daltini Linguini. He's blowing up DZG. He doesn't want to go home just yet. Finds 3 kills. They're hunting down Mobster Penguin, who's still able to kite out. The hook whips from Orion. Mobster Penguin, good play hero here. All of his teammates are dead. Can he find the kills? The Ignite comes out, flashes the body bounce. He's able to keep himself safe, but he's on the wrong side of the rift, and Tough Daddy finds the kill. Dorado Gaming aren't done just yet.
On time, though. Look at how much time he bought, and they're ignoring Invictus Gaming. Invictus Rakan is pushing on the base. We've got a base race.
Oh my god, this game just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Drunk is knocking down the blue side bot inhibitor, but Invictus Rakan is trying to trade the inhibitor. He's trying to go for the Nexus turrets, trying to get them down as quickly as possible. He will drop one before the Syndra shows up. Unleash power, that 50% execute finds the kill, and Tough Daddy saves the base just a bit.
Yeah, but they lost a turret for that. Drunk wasn't able to get anything in the bot side because of his health, so they're able to get the dragon. The soul goes over to DOGE. That's the positive for them, but they lose a Nexus turret. Those don't respawn, Slayer. You can't get those back, and so if there's ever a push, if there's ever another base race, it just gets so dicey for DOGE. Just ignoring the Gnar right there. I think they had him on vision for so long and didn't opt to fight him. Because of that, they lose something for it. Daltini Linguini played the hero that last fight. It's so much in that fight, ensure that they're able to get soul. They lose a Nexus turret, and an unforced error means this game just gets even closer.
Pressure is getting to unsurmountable levels for this game, but an absolute banger game too. This might not even be the end of the series if Dorado Gaming have anything to say about it. They just take the Baron for free. They secure Baron, but their mid lane is still in shambles. Will they take the reset, or are they going to try and pick off For Sky? They'll reset. They get the Baron for virtually
Yeah, they get the Baron. It was a 4v5. Invictus Rakan wasn't there, obviously died with that push into the base. So they had to give Baron right there. Now the question is, what do they lose because of it? Mobster Penguin has great wave clear. For Sky's wave clear isn't bad, but it's not the best it could be. Right now they're just grouping 5 mid, a little bit of NA ram right here. I'd love to see a little bit of a split because there's still a lot of standing gold. That's 2 inhibitor turrets that are still open, including a top turret as well. But instead, they're just focusing on pushing mid. But with top and bot not being pushed, I think these waves can be cleared quick enough. I'm not sure if they're able to get this tower.
They're certainly going to try here. NA Ram is certainly the style. Here, DZG, they haven't had to deal with their own base defense in this game virtually the entire time, making the comeback in the early-late game. And yes, I just said early-late game because we're 45 minutes in this game, and neither one of these squads want to give up just yet.
Up turret, I think somebody needs to push it, and finally they're going towards the top side of the jungle. But instead, they're just going all mid here. I think if you push top turret, there's so much gold you can get, but they're worried about the fight.
Corruption. They're trying to jump onto this Olaf. He hasn't popped Ragnarok yet, so Chains of Corruption is used for nothing. Explosive cast from Hybrid Carry is also down. Gotta watch those key ultimates. Daltini Linguini can still pop Ragnarok if he wants to go forward. Sleeping Giant knocked back by a good Scatter the Weak. And they're still just trying to play siege here. The pressure still feels unsurmountable. Somebody has to give here, and it might just be that mid turret with the next Baron-empowered wave coming in.
Yeah, this wave should be able to get it. Now, do they get the inhibitor is the real question. They're looking for it.
They've hooked him. They find J Core. He's not even allowed to do anything. DOG Drug blows him up. Invictus Rakan is trying to build up Meganar to play hero in this fight. Finally gets the Meganar, but how can they fight this 4v5 in their own base? The Dorado Gaming Epsilon are unrelenting. They don't want to give a single inch, still pushing for that inhibitor with that one cannon minion. Finally, Daltini Linguini will step up. DOG Drunk has the range. Puff Daddy has teleported back in here. They're going to try and end 4v5. Can they do it with the defense from DZG? They're getting some good wave clear going, pushing up the bot side wave. The Baron is still here. Death timer still long for J Core. They're going to have to try and fight under this Nexus turrets. Is this wise? There might not be any Nexus turrets in a bit here. Tristana doing so much damage from range. First one drops. There's Ragnarok popped. Daltini Linguini wants to end the game, jumping onto Mobster Penguin. He's going to try and find the kill, but he goes golden is safe. On the other side, wait, they just ended the game. I didn't even realize. They focus Nexus and Dorado Gaming are forcing us to a game 3.
Daltini Linguini played the Joker, played the Jester. He said, look at me, I'm going for your mid laner. And the entire time they were damaging the Nexus. Unbelievable game. One of the best games I've ever casted. 47-minute affair right there. At the end of the day, it means we're going to a game 3.
My God, that is the best game of League of Legends that you probably saw today. I don't care what streams you're watching. What an action-packed thing. And I was completely bamboozled. So, you know, I'll give some credit to DZG. I didn't think that they were just going to focus the Nexus turrets. I thought they were going for the fight. That late into the game, man, those autos just do so much damage from DOG Drunk. And I mean, what a game. I don't even know where to begin, Bon.
Well, I do know where to begin with my MVP. I know you're not. I know we don't give MVPs per game, but I feel like we have to give Tough Daddy his roses on the Syndra. The damage, you know, it was good from everyone else. 35k was the most on the Cassiopeia. You've got 36k on the Olaf. Tough Daddy did 60,000 damage.
I told you about that Syndra.
60,000 damage.
Try to warn y'all.
Just pushed out so much damage. Tough Daddy was the monster in the dark, and we thought DOG Drunk was scaling up, and Tough Daddy, the real monster they should have been worried about. DOGE, man, they are fighting.
What a way to kick off the Aegis Protector League, gentlemen. I hope you're strapped in, because as much as I feel mentally drained, my voice starting to go, we still have one more decider game on the cards here. Dorado Gaming Epsilon, your defending champions, trying to start off their repeat tour with a win here, and DZG Olympus trying to stop that. After the break, our final draft of the night between these two. Go get some water and strap back in a couple minutes. Hope everybody's taking a moment to go get some water, maybe a snack, use the restroom because we just went through. I throw around the terminology a roller coaster of a game, but that is the king roller coaster of the all that we just. We were at Six Flags. We went on every ride for that game too. But Dorado Gaming Epsilon are able to force us to a game number 3, and we're already getting into draft here. We can see for the first time Dorado Gaming Epsilon bonfire. They're on the blue side. They want that Varus for themselves.
Yeah, with the Zeri being banned out, it seems like the Varus is the first pick for both of these teams for AD carry. On the other side of things, it doesn't really feel like either team feels confident on any other AD carries. We have yet to see a repeat AD carry performance. It's been a one and done for Tristana. It's been a one and done for the Caitlyn. Now it's going to be the Kaisa, and so it hasn't been able to crack the Varus mold. Just in the sense of, maybe Varus isn't winning every game, but they still feel like it's a confident shout. Meanwhile, the Syndra certainly is 60,000 damage that last game. Yeah, it's going to be easy pickup.
This time it's being helmed by Mobster Penguin. They take it away from Tough Daddy. DZG are on the red side for the first time. Was the damage leader by a country mile for the Epsilon win in game number 2. Will now be on the enemy side, as it seems like the trend here is just trading power picks from the last game as we get another new champion introduced. Udyr will be in play here, and gotta think that's going on Hybrid King.
Yeah, you have to think so. And Hybrid Carry's been on tank duty, but honestly, he's been on tank/engage duty these last 2 games, and Udyr definitely fits the mold there. Does a fair amount of damage too, as well. I mean, honestly, Hybrid Carry living up to his name with this pick. It's a little bit of a carry, it's a little bit of a tank. It's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. It does everything in the jungle that you might need it to do. The big bear man can do anything you want and more. Meanwhile, the Renata Glask also picked up, and so there's been a lot of different answers to what you should pair this Varus with. Renata Glask is the big winner.
Yeah, and was banned away. Second phase of bans of game 2. So that was a target ban coming over from DZG. This time Renata gets through, so it'll be very interesting to see how that Varus ultimate is paired there with Renata Glask ultimate. A good combo to set up each other, as the response here is going to be a Mumu. Now, in a majority of seasons, that looks like a jungle pick. But on 13.1b, a Mumu might be one of the strongest support picks in the engage category. I'm willing to bet that is J-Core Core helming the Sad Mummy.
I haven't seen an Amumu in the jungle in amateur or any type of pro play, honestly, in what feels like ever. It's a really strong support pick. Obviously, with the double bandage toss, that change has really provided it to be along the likes of Leona and Nautilus, sometimes even stronger. And so they're gonna go with this Amumu. Now, it's a really good pick alongside the Kaisa because obviously you can ult alongside any form of CC, and so this allows you to get into the back line even while playing far away. If someone hops on top of you, you can hop into a fight really far away and get away from the danger. And so I like the Amumu pick. It also fills that engage role that I feel like DCG was missing that last game. It felt like they were really missing the go button. It was the Nocturne, and the Nocturne just got blown up late game. And so I think the Amumu is a good adjustment for them, and hopefully it can help them traverse around these fights a little bit better.
Well, it looks like Dorado Game Epsilon disagrees with you a little bit. They want to ban away the Noct, so they don't want to deal with Sleeping Giants Nocturne in this game. Interesting little nugget about this draft is bans still go through. When you see a mid laner get prioed early on in a draft, you expect the counter pick to come across in that same phase. But Dorado Gaming Epsilon, they wanted this support pick. They wanted the Orion on Renata Glassic, so they didn't take that counter pick early, try and set them up for maybe potentially 2 counter picks. See how that plays into things, because now 2 target bans from DZG Olympus over on to Tough Daddy.
Yeah, I do think the Renata is the right pick though, because there was obviously presence being shown from DCG in the bands last game, and so it's obvious that Renata Glass is on their radar. And if you really want the pick, sometimes you have to jump the gun a little bit. That does mean that the Trundle is going to be picked up for DCG, and I think that's a knockout, out of this world pick. When you're going into an Udyr, the resistances that you can steal are unbelievable, and so the Troll King should watch his empire rise this game.
how that can be helmed by Sleeping Giant, who's playing his third unique jungler of this series. Both these junglers have played 6 unique champions so far, so very fun to watch. As a non-unique champion will come out here, it's going to be the Maokai, which throws a complete wrench. I wonder if the alarm bells are sounding for DZG, because Maokai was played as a support earlier in this series by Core for DZ Olympus, but with Renata locked in, you got to think that Maokai is likely jungle, which in my mind slots Udyr up top. Or
I think it could be Maokai top. I really do. Although, I don't know.
That would be a really out of meta pick if they. I've not seen a single Maokai top. Irelia getting locked in confuses me even more. No, actually doesn't. Irelia is one of the strongest mid laners in 13.1b. A good counter to Syndra as well, because you're trying to just disrupt anything she wants to get going. She tries to stay from distance. Irelia is really good at gap closing. I'm going to call my shot here. Obviously, we'll figure out when we go client side, but I think Dorado Gaming Epsilon are running Maokai topside for Daltini Linguini, which is a switch up from his usual play style. He's on Udyr. I'm already getting switched up. Sleeping Giant. No, Hybrid Carry is on the Maokai jungle. Irelia mid. Varus and Renata Glassig are going.
All right. I think it's going to be a Maokai top. And we saw a lot of that in Worlds. And obviously that was a lot of patches ago. But I've yet to see an Udyr top. Yeah, Maokai was flex top, jungle, and support. And so I'd be interested to see. No, I know I'm right there. It's not really a more recent thing, and that's why I'm kind of questioning it. Udyr top's really out of the zone for me, but it does make sense with Daltini. And that's kind of where I'm agreeing with you, is that it does seem like Daltini's pick. And so if they want to go off meta like that, I can see it just because of Daltini, but it would be really out of the blue. And already with the Jax being picked up, this is my crazy thing I'm going to say. I think you flip Jax and Syndra. I think your top laner goes mid and your mid laner goes top, because Jax is fine into Aurelia, and I think Syndra does fine into either Udyr or Maokai. Either she's able to get the range and poke off, and so I think you just flip your laners, and I think you feel a lot more confident than, like you said, Syndra I think really struggles into Aurelia.
On Fire is going pretty crazy with the draft takes. Something else. Maokai goes top at Worlds more than Udyr. We're gonna have a Syndra go top lane. A lot of craziness. We're about to find out. I'm trying to stall to try and cash in my points. I don't get to use Twitch chat points to guess who wins. I'm using my own brownie points, and Slayer cashes in. It's Udyr top. So okay, Daltini I will say is going to be top with the Udyr, and it's Jack's top as well.
Yeah, well, actually, that one was obvious. I said it was going to be Jack's top. You should just flip laners. No, I'd like to say that I backtracked a fair amount, and I said Udyr would go top for Daltini specifically. But I am going to hold strong that Maokai was picked top more. I will look that up if I have to. I'm so sure of it. At the end of the day, doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong, because everyone's here to watch the game and not worry about my picks. And it's an interesting game. This draft is really interesting. But I think this Trundle, I think it's just flying under the radar with all this craziness, is just going to feast. Think about all of the resistances that he can steal with his ultimate. Udyr and Maokai, he can get so tanky. Alongside an Amumu, there's just can be so much disruption. And I think that's going to be the pick that can really decide this game.
Certainly will be interesting to watch going forward. I'm just still such a super fan of Syndra on this current patch with their current build path and her new hyperscaling. I know I harped on it in game 2, but if you didn't join, Syndra can really hyperscale. He's been dubbed the new improved Vagar in that sense, with how much damage Unleashed Power can do with the execute. So I'm very interested to see how it is helmed here by not Mobster Penguin on the side. Or no, it is Mobster Penguin this time. Tough Daddy did a really good job in game. Now Mobster Penguin's turn. So that mid lane matchup will be very hard pressed, though, because Tough Daddy is locked into that Irelia. So that lane will be fun to watch to see which ideology plays out. And then bot side, it's really an interesting combo thing, because Kai'Sa, there was a time where she would hail a blade and she could play really aggressive level 1, but now is back to that sort of like lethal tempo, hyperscaling AD carry, like the upgraded Vayne most people still like to use. But a Mumu is really about going in level 1. You heard Bonfire talk about the double bandage toss can create a lot of chaos off that. But on the same vein, Bonfire, I feel like DOG have drafted really well to counter their bot lane enemies with how much disengage Renata and Varus can apply in lane and outside of it.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of disengage, and I think Renata and Varus are a really good combination because of that. Now, I think when it comes to team fights, that's really going to be the issue because I think this Maokai and this Aurelia are just so important in these team fights. I mean, it goes without saying, obviously, but if one ult is a little awry or one of them misses, I just think it gets so difficult, right? Because you don't have the CC that you might need to set up the Renata ultimate. Renata ultimate, really easy to dodge if you're not locked up, to be honest. If you're not in a corridor and if you're not locked up, it's not so difficult to get away from the Renata ultimate. And so it's going to be up to this Maokai and the Aurelia to get in the back lines to cause disruption and allow the Renata ultimate to come through. On the other side of things, DZG, really good composition of get on top of them and fight that way. Now, Kaisa, really good on in terms of hopping on top of people. Syndra can play in the backside. We saw how strong she was in the last game. I think I do have concerns about Mobster Penguin. We've seen him overpush quite a lot. And on Syndra, that could be a fatal mistake.
We want to quickly pivot here and once again shout out PVS for all the work he's doing behind the scenes. He's producing, and I appreciate the updated scores that he ran in Twitch chat. I find it so awesome that across the entirety of Week 1 games being played tonight in the Aegis Protectors League, looks like we are the only ones to get a 3-game series. So it's very awesome that the showcase match is going to be a 3-game series. We've had honestly the best match of the night. I would be hard pressed to think this game 3 could improve on what we saw in the second game. Bit of a plateau here, and starting to have the conversation about mental anguish. I know you brought up before we got on air here. We're already exhausted, but casting this. How can you go through a nearly 50-minute game and not be exhausted and want to play a third one? And on top of that, if you're DZG, you had a chance in that game. You knocked down Nexus turrets, play 50 minutes only to lose. How does that factor in? We're about to see how well this team can reset and have the mind of a goldfish in a long series.
Yeah, you just need to reset your mental. You put it perfectly, right? Use the bathroom, grab a Cliff Bar or pretzels, whatever you might need to get your mind in the right place, and you just go, right? You know, it's League of Legends. You play it all the time. You banded together a team to win these series. You just have to put everything aside, and so it's going to see if these players have that resilience. But that's what champions are made of. That's how good teams go ahead. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how both of these teams do. We've seen it from DOGE in the last split. We've got new players on that team. DZG, new to this whole thing. Interesting to see how both of them can survive.
My favorite part about this game 3 as well is that each side has 2 champions that the opposite opposing team played prior, now being helmed by their own players. So the Maokai is now on hybrid carry. Last game being played by J Core in the support role. The Varus on DOG Drunk, when last game it was by the Sky, and on the side of DZG Olympus, we saw that Daltini Linguini played Jackson game number 1. It will now be helmed by Invictus Rakan. And of course, the Elver-powered Syndra from Tough Daddy is now in the hands of Mobster Penguin. We're about to figure out who the better player in this matchup, which players are better in our matchup with a couple of champions. It'll be super fun to figure out. But to do that, we're taking our final break of the night. And on the other side is the deciding game of the initial series, our showcase match between the Olympus and Dorado Gaming Epsilon. It may be week number 1, but we have had a banger series to kick off the Aegis Protector League's 2023 Winter Split, and it all culminates in a final Game 3 showdown on the very familiar Summoner's Rift. Two teams have battled out for honestly nearly 2 hours worth of in-game time purely, and they gotta keep it together for one final match here to see who moves to 1-0 to start off the week. DZG are looking to knock down the defending champs, and oh boy, we might already be on a collateral course for a level 1, but look at this. They're just going to walk right by each other. Defense is set up towards the bot side, and all of DZG walk through the mid lane. What a funky way to start this final match.
Yeah, but they're not going to see that. Oh, no. I thought they were all going to back. Tough Daddy could be in a whole lot of trouble here. It is going to be a 4-3. They're going to spot him. Oh, no, but they're holding their nerve right now. They're holding their nerve. Now, the real question is, it does look like Hybrid Carry's going bot here. Oh, the Orion. They know you're there, friend.
There's the hook, the bandage toss, immediate flash from the Orion. There's a good pushback from the hook, but flash forwards all across the board for Sky. He wants that first blood, and it's already an advantage for DZG Olympus in the do-or-die game.
It looked like it could just go completely unnoticed right there if they had all backed and just gone for a topside clear, but instead, on a cleared bot side first, and that is just a disaster for DOG. They clawed back that second game. The first game wasn't theirs. What a gut punch in the third game to lose a series like that. I've said before on many streams, and I'll say it again, when you get this late in a series, you sometimes got to go a little crazy, throw your opponent off early, and if it works, then you might have won yourself the series.
Well, DZG aren't just looking to win this. They're looking to dethrone defending champion. When you're in that sort of battle with Goliath as David, you gotta throw all the cards down on the table. And that's exactly what they just did for Sky. Has that first blood. It's gotta feel nice on a scaling 80 carry like Tyson.
No,
and, oh my god.
Drunk missed those minions, doesn't get it. Oh goodness, doesn't get the quick enough. Has to use the cleanse there. Oh man, this bot side's going back, but J-Core core.
Oh my god, so low, getting chucked down, but able to walk just out of it. I can't believe I wasn't focused on the minions. I was focused on the fact J-Core core flash for a bandage toss. So that flash is down. We'll still have the Hex flash in there. But certainly gets the cleanse out of DOG Drunk. This bot lane is showing a lot more action than I thought it would pre-level 3.
Yeah, misses the minions there. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like it's not the end of the world, sure, but that is going to be, you need to get all those minions if you're going to try to keep up in CS. Down 2 CS because of that, and then just a really good bandage shots from J-Core core on the top side. Invictus Recon, you're going to see a lot of this getting pushed in by Daltini. You're really good in the early game, and Invictus Recon still has to scale up. A 10 CS difference. Invictus Recon kind of used to this right now from Daltini. Did a good job in game 1 of negating it. Game 2 really got his tower pushed in, his waves pushed in, got his poop pushed in. Can't say the S word, but yeah, it was difficult for him, is what I'm trying to say. This game, it's a lot like game 2.
I don't know about that terminology.
It's game 3, all right. I'm losing it.
Invictus Recon certainly feels comfortable trading here. There's Scour of the Week miss. What a dodge there. Tough Daddy to make sure the stun didn't come across. That's the lane to watch here. Is can Bobster Penguin protect himself against Tough Daddy's Irelia, who is so good at jumping on top of squishy targets? And this could potentially be a dive here. Hybrid Carry going to walk over, and here's the caution coming out from DZG Olympus. They're just going to back off here. They know they're being shoved in. They don't want to give a single inch over to DOG Drunken Company.
Yeah, but the damage is done right now because all of that wave just was completely lost. But Daltini could lose it all himself here. Oh, fantastic!
There's a good use of that unstoppable full form of Udyr. Pillar doesn't find anything, and Sleeping Giant is forced to go clear for nothing.
Yeah, forced to go clear for nothing. But again, Hybrid Carry doing a fantastic job. Invictus Recon.
Ghost popped, and Daltini Linguini going forward. He wants first kill in the top lane. Counter-Strike will come out, though, so no damage can come across on Invictus Recon. It's just going to be a trade of Flash for Ghost at the end.
Well, the point I was trying to make very, very original was that Hybrid Carry did a good job of forcing them off the wall. and that wave died. Because of that, ensured that DOG Drunk was able to get the CS advantage across the map, wasn't able to get anything. I also wanted to say that I think the flay was actually intentional. I don't think that they would Mobster Penguin was going for the stun. I think he was actually pushing for turret damage right there, because you saw the angling. He was trying to push him under his turret so that he was going to take tower shots. So those are the two things I've been sitting on. There's been so much action, I feel like I haven't been able to give all of my points. So I'm just going to dump them on you right now and hope that that suffices.
Interesting to watch. DOG Drunk is going to utilize that lethality Varus. Now the first game was that lethality Varus being played out. Now switches over to the on hit, this time for game number 3. An interesting switch up, very intriguing to watch. You know, it's very intriguing to see that he already switched off of it. It's a bit different of a composition compared. It's not that pick comp, that lethality from distance damage. They're certainly scaling up to try and win in the late game in those team fights for Dorado Gaming Epsilon this time round.
Yeah, they need to be winning through those team fights. For Sky, he's doing a good job of soaking up the damage, but again, I need to see Sleeping Giant go bot right now, because right now his bot side's losing pretty heavily, and you've picked the Amumu, I think, in order to get yourself a little bit of a lead. Really good dodge there from J Core, but for Sky, he's just getting bullied right now. Nothing he can do on this Kaisa. Needs to scale up a little bit, and Sleeping Giant, I mean, I was talking about how earlier he's gotten the better of Hybrid Carry in the early game. This game, it feels like he's got the CS advantage, but Hybrid Carry is doing a really good job of ensuring that his lanes feel very comfortable.
Poor Sky's in a much more comfortable spot. Yeah, sure, Mumu is very good at aggressiveness early on in the game, but his main goal is to be an engaged threat later on in the game. And you already have Sky, who has the kill. He actually, despite being down 12,000 gold, has the gold lead still. Certainly scales just as well, if not more than that on his Varus. But it looks like we're still going to get action in the bot lane. Bonfire's wish comes true. There's a beautiful flash bandage toss, and they jump on the Orion. Ooh, the ult from Aurelia whiffs, and J Core might just walk out of this thing alive. DOG Drunk can't flash into zone, and the W won't find the kill. So it ends up being a huge kill for DZG once again towards that bot side.
A really good job right there, and we have more fighting on the top side.
God, Invictus Rakan, you can't beat the healing from Daltini Linguini. The turtle form trumps all.
Turtle form trumps all, so we've got trading across the entirety of the map. For Sky, another assist going to his name, evening the CS a little bit as well. Really good job. Sleeping Giant making my wishes become reality right there. And then you see how strong it is once he comes down. I cannot believe J Core survives. That's just the icing on the cake in the top side. You've really had a whole lot of, I mean, there's no way to put it. Invictus in the first game, it felt like Daltini Linguini on the Jack should have gotten ahead, did not. In the second game, Daltini Linguini had his game on the Olaf, and this game, the Jax, again, going for those early trades, wants to get himself a hero ahead, and ends up falling behind the tune of about 800 gold right now.
Gold, though, between the two teams, close as it could be, on a razor's edge, one might say. Only about 100 difference, and poetically so perfect for this game through both these teams. So close, and for the first time it feels like both the teams are playing the most similar comps that we've seen so far. I think the only factor that really separates the comps here is the Udyr versus the Jax. Invictus Rakan's major goal will be split pushing to try and push away the 5v5 team fight. But actually, the more I think about Bonfire, that's also what Aurelia might want to do later on. That's a good stun coming across for Tough Daddy, but no damage near the turret, enough for a lethal kill there. His top side, oh boy, Invictus Rakan, give an inch. Daltini Linguini will take a mile, just no comfortability in the top lane.
Daltini Linguini will take a marathon's race at this point, doing a fantastic job of extending his own lead. 15 gold difference, down to about 11 now with the wave crashing. But doing a fantastic job. You got the kill, like, you know, as we talked about, got the lead. Invictus Rakan just needs to turtle under his tower. I understand the pun that is to be made there. But he just needs to soak the damage, or soak the pressure from Daltini Linguini. I think too much we're seeing out of both of these top laners when they were playing Jax. They want to call their shot. They want to be the hero. And they just need to wait until they get those power spikes, because late game, Invictus Rakan will bonk Daltini Linguini into the Shadow Realm. But right now, I think that Daltini Linguini has his number.
Certainly does seemingly have his number. There's Vanguard's Edge. Here's the power that Aurelia going under turret, but bot lane there's a serious fight. Mobster Penguin actually kills off Tough Daddy, and his bottom lane for DZG is coming up huge as well. DOJ Drunk can only trade his life in Forward Sky 2-0-2, make it 3-0-2. This Kaisa ain't late game. She's already online.
Can't believe Mobster Penguin won that under tower. And then the rest of it's just the icing on the cake. They win the fight in the river. They win the fight in the mid lane. Just a disaster. This game was honestly so incredibly close that Ward is just getting, it's worth its weight in gold at this point. Invictus, I know, Invictus Recon continues to hop towards it. But a 1,500 gold lead now being acquired, and this game's been blown open. What was once a very close game threatens to snowball.
Now the pressure is starting to mount on certain players in this matchup. For Dorado Gaming Epsilon, now a lot of weight is on the shoulders of Daltini Linguini. He's essentially the only winning lane currently out there, shoving in this top lane as much gold as possible. Just Recon, just trying to zone him off the turret with those counter strikes. He's got to be careful of a dive here with the healing Daltini Linguini can bring. You could see the J-Core core is going to hover to try and protect him, but Hybrid Carry shows up, and now they're going to try and turn the fight. Curse of the Sad Mummy, no turret aggro put on this Udyr, but there it finally pops. The bailout isn't enough, and they actually kill off Daltini Linguini. J-Core can do no wrong in this game on the Sad Mummy.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There might still be more.
Oh my god, another bandage toss lands. The supports balling out on the big stage, and Sleeping Giant gets a kill on the Hybrid Carry. The train is going off the rails for your defending champions in week 1.
Yeah, DZG just continue to extend this lead, 8-2 in kills. Wheels have fallen off the bus at this point. A 2,000 gold difference, and you know, we always like to say that League of Legends is like a chess match, right? You move your pieces around the board. There's give, there's take, there's pull. You can't do something without something being taken, but it really feels like DZG just takes everything they want and more. I understand where the name Olympus is coming from because they're playing like gods right now.
That's funny. Props.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was a good one. They certainly are playing like gods of Olympus. And you want to know who Zeus is? For Sky. 3-0-2. Kraken Slayer already completed on this Kaisa at 12 minutes. It's going to be an absolutely lethal force. Rub salt in the wound here as well. Guard stacking for Mobster Penguin going seriously well. On top of that, those two could just wreck fights on their own if they aren't CC'd and locked down.
Yeah, I want to see more specifically out of the Orion right now, because we talked about how important those Ronaldo ultimates could be. We have yet to see a Ronaldo ultimate this game at this point. It's been a whole lot of nothing, even in the support in the top side, opting instead to keep it. What are you keeping it for? Next game? There is no next game. So, I mean, I need to see more out of the Orion at the moment. 0-3, having a bit of a disaster of a third game. Even if you're going for these plays and you're missing, or you're using the ultimate and it's not getting what you want out of it, you at least need to throw it out. And right now, J-Core is just a little quicker on the trigger.
All it seems like so far Dorado Gaming Epsilon has been throwing out is their chances at a Game 3 win. But it ain't over till the fat lady sings, and for a 6-kill difference, the gold lead is decently close, only about 2,000 and change, so certainly some space to make up, but Sleeping Giant doesn't want that to happen. There's hostile takeover. Hits 2 members of J-Core Core. They have to run for the hills because Daltini Linguini is hunting. Pops the ghost, teleports in, soaking up as much time as possible. But here's the turn. They're not getting on top of 4 Sky, and he's just farming these kills. So much damage. Another bandage toss lands J-Core Core. The ultimate from 4 Sky puts him on a rampage, and all of a sudden DOG Drunk is all alone in the bot lane until Tough Daddy shows up. Flash forward, Vanguard's Edge. Can he get to the blast code? He can, but the W shuts him down from over the wall. That's a much-needed kill for DOG.
Ends up being a 1-for-1, and it was so necessary that DOGE got that kill. Tough Daddy finally with some money in his pocket. Right there, I'm not sure what Daltini Linguini was going for. You're not that tanky right now on the Udyr, only the demonic being built, and that's not even a full tank item. And so it goes into 3 right there, including a 4-0 for Sky. And I'm actually wrong. I think it was actually a 2-for-1 because the Orient died as well.
Yes.
And so it ended up being a 2-for-1. And this entire time, Invictus Recon, you want to talk about that lead that Daltini Linguini had acquired for himself? Completely wiped off the face of the earth. Now it's only a 300 gold lead advantage. And honestly, that's only a couple of waves. And so really a fantastic job from DZG to absorb the pressure and then push it back out tenfold.
Top of that, Mobster Penguin is close to the second upgrade in the shard department for that Syndra, which means a lot more magic penetration damage across true damage for her W, where she lobs up a minion or one of her spears and throws them down. So gotta keep tracking that because you know, I know it sounds like I'm just pandering towards the Syndra, but that game 2, a 60k damage game from Tough Daddy. Tough Daddy didn't have this kind of lead early game, but Sleeping Giant's looking to accelerate his lead early on, forces the flash out of Hybrid Carry, who just can't seem to get comfortable among the trees.
Ooh, but here comes Daltini Linguini again, sacking top right now, though. If they don't get a good fight here, this Jax is just hyper-scaling.
There's another turret drop, so Jax has already claimed the top outer. I get the logic here. Daltini Linguini is coming down here because they want to secure a dragon stack. But can they even win 5-on-4 here with how powerful this Kais is, God, and how powerful the Cinder is, and with J-Core balling out? Well, they sure damn are going to try. Hostile takeover lands. That's a huge ultimate. They're able to get on top of the Syndra, and DOG Drunk finds that kill. Tough Daddy's able to use Vanguard's Edge to find Sleeping Giant. And DOG, they might have just found themselves a way into this game, but Four Sky is not done kicking just yet. Finds a first good trade, but all of his teammates are so low health. The arrow from distance, DOG Drunk with 2 huge kills, and Epsilon aren't out of this thing just yet.
Was a late teleport from Invictus Rakan. It ended up being a 5v5, but it was just way too late, too little too late. A fantastic ultimate from the Orion. Not sure if he's in this Discord call right now, but he certainly heard me, and he goes out right now. That early game, he's completely switched it around now with 2 very impactful ultimates. I'd love to see more, but DOGE game on its head. Now only a 900 gold difference between these teams, and with this mid tower possibly going down here, honestly, this gold lead could shrink to less than a couple hundred.
Discord. What's Discord? Bonfire. We're in the Aegis caster studio. We're just on separate video cam. Yeah. PVS is right to my right here, just directing everything. Beautiful to watch. I don't know what a Discord is. Nonetheless, though, I also don't know what a gold lead is anymore. As all of a sudden, starting to feel the remnants of game number 2 here. Just one big punch from one side and a response from the other. It's so little of a goal lead, but that's not enough for Mobster Penguin. Unleashed power, not enough damage. That pesky Udyr is able to survive another onslaught.
Able to survive there, has to back, though, alongside his jungler. If Mobster Penguin knows where anybody is, he could possibly try to push onto this bot turret, and you know Mobster Penguin, you know that he loves to push, and so indeed he is going to push onto the bot turret. Doesn't look like anyone's roaming down to stop him, so that's going to be another turret going down for DZG. This game, just back and forth. Neither team can get a good footing, secure themselves a win early on. Both of these teams, punch, counter punch, we're going the distance all 10 rounds.
Bonfire, I have a present for you, right? So you wanted to see the lane swap early, didn't get it, but now your potential matchups are here. They've arrived. Invictus Rakan is stopping Tough Daddy's push to the top side, and on the other side, Mobster Penguin's facing off against Daltini. So, came true just 18 minutes later than you thought it would.
Did indeed come true. I appreciate that. Christmas came early.
Really
I
early.
will say, I know, very, very early. It's a little, little too late. I think, with the old leads and the differences and how many kills they each have, it won't be as even as I thought it might be. But at the end of the day, it should be interesting to see how they trade out. Already you saw Mobster Penguin just pushing up so much damage onto this Udyr. Obviously with the Udyr building, prioritizing for the Jax with the boots, is going to take quite a bit of AP damage. And already my present has been snatched away. Seems as if the Aurelia is going to be going against the Syndra once again.
So sweet until it was gone. And we're going to see in mid lane, that's the real priority for all the fighting, is driving up these solo lane matchups. Because here goes, oh my god, and Mobster Penguin tried to teleport for a play, but you went to the wrong side, and someone whose rift is blown up for free. Tough Daddy claims that one. Flash forward, Vanguard's Edge onto 2. Can he get on top of Four Sky? Hostile takeover won't find him. He's able to flash away, but they claim his support, and DOG Epsilon want that gold lead for themselves.
Mobster Penguin with a head scratcher right there, teleporting into his demise. Yeah, might be some bait things there. They're gonna lose a tower for it. They're gonna lose 2 members of their team for it. The entire tempo of the game has been completely thrown off because the wards are gonna be dropped. But they should be able to possibly get some jungle camps from that as well. And like you said, the gold difference has been completely flipped. I'm not sure about that one, Mobster Penguin. Because of that, you know, honestly, that's a huge gold swing.
We might have gotten a foreshadowing into an issue that's going to be presented with this Kai'Sa pick, right? For Sky, 5-0-3, already at 2 items. Believe still has the most gold currently in the game. Yeah, actually he's behind 2 Tough Daddy now, but still the most powerful on his team, respectively. But Kai'Sa's still so close range, and it's really hard. It'd be difficult in fights to put out the right amount of damage. You saw there for Sky. His front line gets picked off. He can't get onto those priority targets. He has to play front for back. And all he could do there was try and protect himself from giving up a shutdown.
Yeah, and that's how important the Orion's ultimate can be as well. We talked about how it needs to be utilized more, and he's just been throwing it out on cooldown at this point. And that's the right move right there, you know? If you get it out, you force them to be scattered. Force the enemy team into difficult positions. For Sky, his front line that was so neatly put in front of him, suddenly all the pawns are dropped, and there's a bishop, there's a knight. I'm just all in on chess puns tonight, it seems, or chess references. And you know, suddenly the king has no more servants in front of him, and so you need to use that ultimate wisely. Does use it there. It looks like they're gonna fight over dragon.
There's the hook, another bandage shot. J Core does not have Curse of the Sad Mummy yet, but isn't needed. Dratini and Green not so low. There's the hostile takeover. No Jax here, but it doesn't seem to matter for DZG until Tough Daddy shows up. 4 Sky is finally caught out and shut down. They finally kill the king of DZG, Olympus, and it might be just enough to get to Soul Point.
J Core. I know you're looking for friends, but those aren't the right friends.
Hybrid Carry flashes forward to jump onto Mobster Penguin, but he's able to create enough distance with his own flash. Unleashed Power won't find anything. The Syndra is just sent packing, and now they'll finally focus up on that Drake.
I think that the Amumu bandage is right there for to wrap his team up, to bury them. Because they did not have 5 members strong. Did not have 5 members strong. I mean, that's what happened. Sold 2 Sky to the river. For Sky just did not have his team alongside him, and you really need all 5 strong if you're going to take these fights. Because it feels like, I mean, you said it perfectly. For Sky, you need to fight front to back, and the Amumu wants to go in, Hondo wants to go in, the Jax wants to go in, so you at least need all 5 to ensure that there's more bodies alongside you. But once 4 Sky gets hopped on, at this point we've seen enough. It really feels like the team fight seems to go the way of DOGE, and so DZG needs to do more to protect their AD carry, and that time, J Core just did not do enough.
Won't make the same mistake again that Dorado game fans, especially DOG Drunk. Quietly has been powering up for this late game. Varus on hit again. 4-1-2 is also nearly at the same stature of 4 Sky here, so this Varus is another added element the DZG are going to have to worry about. And they just can't even seem to get anywhere near the back line thanks to the Orion's hostile takeovers. So something has to change in this fight game plans, or the defending champions are going to continue what they ended last season.
Yeah, and worst of all, they're going to prove you right, and I'm never going to hear the end of it. So I'm Team DZG to ensure that your ego doesn't get too big.
It's only one right pick.
Yeah, but I dropped to... Actually, wait. I actually have a question just personally. Is this list that we're making, is it about, you know, who wins, or is it specific to the maps? Because I did say 2-0, but if they win, I suppose...
I put 2-1. I put 2-1 Dorado Gaming Epsilon.
how about we all forget what I said, and we can all just say I was right.
Well, how about we can focus back on this game, because Baron is on the cards here. And you can, it's being heavily prioritized by DOGE. Here's some good vision. Going to be on guys like J Core to find avenues in for the rest of his team. But Sleeping Giant might be caught on his lonesome. Beautiful stun from Tough Daddy. J Core's going to try and go forward. There's the hostile takeover. Hits 3. The Orion is putting on a clinic. And DOGE are just mopping up the kills. A double kill for Tough Daddy. But man, the Orion is balling out in the support role.
And that pixel bush was warded. He had no clue, and because of that, gets jumped on top of an Orion, proving me wrong so many times. Really fantastic use of the ultimate there. And then I don't feel like we're talking enough about Tough Daddy on this Aurelia, because the setup is great, but someone needs to finish it. And right now, it has been the Aurelia. I've seen steals right now. We've seen a lot of steals in pro play from the the Syndra. Doesn't look like he's going to get close enough to try, and that's 5 members wearing purple.
Now, Dratini Linguini has been playing the uber-aggressive, damage-oriented top laner, but now has the safety of Uders, Dane, his tankiness, and does such a good job zoning off the remaining members of DZG Olympus. And you can see they're now on objective bounties. What a switch up this game has taken into the mid game.
Yeah, and I think this is the biggest gold lead we've seen that's not, immediately ended in a possible Nexus push. It's a 6,000 or 5,000 gold lead right now. Normally seems to be hovering around 2.5 to 3K, but DOGE spreading their legs a little bit, ensuring that they've got some breathing room. It's going to take a couple of team fight wins from DZG to bring that gold lead back over to their side. They need to switch up their game plan right now because what was working before is no longer working now.
Well, look at this. They might have already gotten Mobster Penguin here. Unleash Power goes out as a defense mechanism. That's a huge execute ultimate already off the cards with a minute away from Ocean Soul secure for Dorado Gaming. Epsilon, they just seem much in the driver's seat. Such a stark difference from how this game kicked off.
Yeah, and this is what experience gets you. A new team like DZG, we talked about that mental side of things, and it seems like, I hate to say it, they're mental, just collapsing a little bit right now. These plays seem to be a little disorganized. They're fighting not all together. They're setting up in tri-brushes, and they haven't swept them. And so you're starting to see how the experience of hybrid carry alongside DOG Drunk, formerly DOG Creatine, is just providing to be so much more important, so much more valuable. No, that's what a former winner will show you. And right now they're balling out.
5-man from DZG in the mid lane. They're going to try and force the aggression, but they're completely ignoring Tough Daddy, who's being the alpha in the top lane right now. And now Dorado Gaming, they're going to cancel the backs here. They're able to get a huge hostile takeover, jumping onto the front line. Stun comes across for this Jax. 4 Skies mopping up the kills. They jump on DOG Drunk, keeping the mind there. Tough Daddy in the background is trying to end this game. So DZG, they're fighting the kills finally, but how much is it going to cost? They're still chasing down the Orion, but they have to worry about their base. Tough Daddy's on the Nexus turrets here. They finally pick up the kill. He has Baron empowered minions, knocking down the second Nexus turret. Tough Daddy's trying to do it all on his own. Jumps and executes. Monster Penguin, see you later. Vanguard's edge. Tough Daddy's still around and kicking. Invictus Rakan finally shows up, but he's got to be careful on his own turret. The stun will miss just off to the right here. Tough Daddy will knock down a second Nexus turret all on his own. There's no way. Is he going to try and fight this all on his own? He jumps forward. Counter-strike can't protect you. Invictus Rakan. Jor is all that's left. Tough Daddy nearly ends the game on his own.
Shut down.
Oh my goodness. Wow, Tough Daddy. I'm not sure if you saw it, Slayer, but there was a Twitter thread kind of floating around the realms that said, what is the biggest I'm him performance in sports history? I think Tough Daddy might go on the top of my list right there. Just inching his team to victory. Unbelievable. Tough Daddy letting his name ring out in APO right now. He said, I am here. Unbelievable stuff right there. I'm genuinely at a loss for words. Almost winning his team the game, but he's done more than enough right there. Because look at what it's cost the side of DZG. They don't have any more Nexus turrets. They completely have to shell and turtle in their base at this point. They have no more Nexus turrets. They have no top inhib. They can clear waves, but basically everything across the map that's not that is not theirs. And right now, DOG is on so point. It might not even get there.
They caught out Mobster Penguin again. Too far forward on his own. He can't even trade DOG Drunk out, who stays safe. There's the killer instinct forward for Sky trying to jump on this Kaisa. Bailout won't come out, and it's a trade of AD carries. But look at this once again. Just Daddy is by himself, but this time Dorado Gaming Epsilon win the fight on their own. Invictus Rakan, he's gonna finally solo kill, get solo killed again by Tough Daddy, and this time he comes up with his team to the Nexus, and Dorado Gaming Epsilon, your defending champs, aren't gonna drop the first week.
DOGE defend their title. They said, if you come at the king, you best not miss. After an unbelievable Game 2 comeback, this Game 3 looked a lot more controlled. They weathered the early game storm of DZG, and all credit, goes to DZG for putting up such an incredible performance. But DOGE Come again. If you come at the king, you best not miss, and they missed.
Yeah, I mean the Avengers scene is the perfect thing, right? That first game was DZG. They're Thor. They're aiming for Thanos, and they hit the shoulder. They go for the kill, but they don't get the Infinity Gauntlet, and
Are
the
they going for the
punchback
head?
is just so brutal. Dorado Gaming, Epsilon, they made that game 3 look easy, but they were on a backpedal. They looked lost just a couple hours ago after game 1.
Yeah, no, I mean DOGE with the in-game adjustments, and again, that's what you can expect out of a championship-winning core roster. They know how to weather these storms. DZG come out all flurry of fists in week one, like you would expect out of a new team. They want that statement victory. They want to show that the league that they're here and they're not here to be bottom of the table. But at the end of the day, when you go 50 minutes in a game, you have to keep your mental and EOGE just kept their mental a lot better because of that. The experience carries them to the finish line. What an unbelievable series. And it's only week one, Slayer.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need new vocal cords by the time we get down to the championship at the end of this thing because mine are shot. But let me make sure this is clear. I couldn't be more happy about this entire series. What a way to kick off this season! Huge shout out to Dorado Gaming Epsilon for showing the resilience that breeds champions. That probably is the reason why they were champions last time. And it was guys like DOG Drunk really showed up when it matters. We didn't talk about him enough in a couple of these series. That Tristana game was remarkable, was really good again on this Varus, and honestly might be my MVP just purely based off those
Ooh.
two performances. But I do want to make sure the Orion gets the credit he deserved because those hostile takeovers made all those close fights in that third.
Yeah, in that game, I'd have to give it to the Orion just because of those hostile takeovers. If I had to go for a series MVP, I know it's crazy, but I have to go Tough Daddy. And that's solely because that game, which actually was still kind of on a knife's edge to a certain extent. I mean, his team lost the fight pretty handily there. And so it really feels like Tough Daddy needed to get something done in the base. He got an inhib, he got an inhib turret, he got both Nexus turrets, and I believe he got 2 or 3 kills on the back end of it. And so Tough Daddy with a huge I'm him performance. And in game 2 and 1 still was very good. And so I have to give it to Tough Daddy. Just an unbelievable job in game 3.
Certainly embodying his name, his screen name in game number 3. Once again, congratulations to Dorado Gaming Epsilon, your defending champs. And I know it's only one game, undefeated so far through the Aegis Protected League Winter 2020 split. I hope everybody at home enjoying. Dorado fans, DZG fans alike. It was an absolute blast kick off the season. But guess what? This is just the beginning. Expect this week in and week out from the Slay Fire duo. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure to stay locked to Aegis' Twitter and their Twitch because there's a lot more leagues running. You got Marauder League on top of I believe it's Champions League as well, running on your Tuesday and Friday slate. You can see the Squire League and Guardians come back around on the weekend. And I better see you back Monday here for week number 2 showcase. But for now, I've been Slayer. That's Bonfire. Shout out to PVS on the production. We'll see you guys in 7 days.